Welcome back to the ADT Coaches Spotlight on ESPN News.
We are back, and as we look at the matchup between Michigan and Iowa, you see Iowa obviously not scoring as many points as Michigan, and that is a concern. And one of the reasons is passing yards per game, more than 100 yards difference between Michigan and Iowa. This game's going to be on ABC Sports, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. And one of the guys who will be calling the game is Lynn Swann, who joins us now on the telephone. Lynn, we appreciate you taking the time out, and that is the one stat that really jumped out at me, the passing yards per game for Iowa. And Nathan Chandler trying to replace Brad Banks, and obviously he's trying to do so without Maurice Brown, one of his top targets. But how much do you think Michigan's going to say, hey, try to beat us with the run and make Nathan Chandler beat them?
Well, you know, I think most teams would prefer to stop the run and then force a quarterback to have to beat them if they feel like the quarterback doesn't have the experience or is not quite up to the challenge, as the Purdue coaches were talking about last week against Notre Dame. You know, take the game out of the hands of the coordinator up in the press box and put it in the hands of a young kid on the field and see if he's got the abilities and talents to make all the changes in the calls. And if you can do it, I think there's certainly an advantage to it.
Lynn, Oregon seemed to do that with some success against Michigan. And I'm curious, from your vantage point as a wide receiver, is Braylon Edwards the kind of guy that can break a game open, or does Michigan missing a weapon like that?
Well, I think Braylon can break a game open. He can make some plays for you, make some catches for you, and they've got a number of talented, I think, young receivers who could potentially, one or two of them could potentially be game breakers. But in most football games, when you talk about a game breaker, you need a person who is going to give you one or two big runs or plays, in the ball game that result in a touchdown, that get you out of a hole, that give you a chance for an easy score, that might be anywhere from 14 points in a ball game, and that's a big number. And certainly Michigan has the players that can do that. I mean, whether it's Edwards or whether it's Perry. They've got the talent on the offensive side of the ball that can make a big play and turn a game around.
Lynn, what's your take on John Navarre? You've had a chance to watch him over the years. You think he can take him to the Big Ten championship?
Oh, I'm not a one-player kind of guy. I don't think, especially in the Big Ten, one player, I don't care what position he plays, is going to get you to the Big Ten championship. The Big Ten is just too tough. Matter of fact, we were discussing, the best teams in the country earlier today on our broadcast crew, and I told everybody, I said, look, I don't think there will be a college football team in America when you get down to December 7th that will have an undefeated season going. I think it's that tough. And I think the Big Ten, the Big 12, you get in those conferences, teams are going to beat each other up. It's going to be tough for a team to come through it undefeated.
All right, well, both these teams already with one loss, so obviously winning here at a premium if they're going to stay in that national championship hunt. Lynn Swann will be looking for you 3:30 p.m. Eastern, Saturday on ABC. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Michigan and Iowa, and let's check in now with Lloyd Carr talking about the scintillating Steve Breaston.
Yeah, I think, throughout the spring, the disappointing thing in the spring was that Steve missed almost the entire, after the first week, he pulled a hamstring, missed the entire spring, that was not able to run full speed until later on and late in the summer. And so he missed a lot of valuable time with the quarterbacks, and that delayed his progress. But if you consider the fact that he's missed spring practice and missed really 1 week of practice in there where he was banged up a little bit, I think he's made outstanding progress.
And as expected in 5 games, if he's farther along than we're able to see just because there's so much competition.
Yeah, I think he is. I think I'd like to see Carl play because he's a dedicated, tireless worker, a guy that's in great shape, and a guy that has made a lot of good plays in practice. And I have a lot of confidence in Carl Tabb. But he's had enough experience now that what happens is a guy all of a sudden somebody gets nicked up and can't play. And if a guy's had some experience, then he's going to go in and play with a lot more confidence than if you didn't have opportunities to play him early in the season. We've had an opportunity to do that with a number of kids, and I think as we go forward, that will prove very beneficial to them and to our team.
You said Marlon had probably the best game at safety this last week. What have you seen sort of development-wise as he's had a little more experience in that position?
Well, I think it's, the thing that Marlon moved to safety with really, I think, about the last week of spring practice. And so we don't have full scrimmages very much in the fall. They're very limited. Most of the contact work we have is it's physical up front, but as we get to the secondary, we tag off. And sometimes, the ball breaks through there in a game, and you have to have some experience tackling in the open field with the ball in front of you. As a cornerback, everything is coming from the inside out to you. But that's not true as a safety. The ball can break a number of ways and get to you in a hurry. And so, but I think he's made a lot of progress, and I like the way he played Saturday.
Coach, two of Iowa's top receivers might not play in this game with injuries. Can you talk about what you've seen from Pachola and the freshman?
Michigan got hammered by Iowa last year, and you can see the huge differential in the stats in what was a 34-9 game. As you can see, Iowa 10 more first downs, helped Michigan to just 22 rushing yards, just 171 total yards. They sacked the Wolverines 5 times, held the ball for nearly 40 minutes. It was a complete domination, really sent the message of just how good Iowa was last year. Probably not quite as good in Iowa team coach, but let's talk about the Michigan offense for a minute. And those first few minutes against Indiana, actually really virtually the entire first half, just flat out didn't look good offensively. The inconsistency, how much does that bother you?
It bothers me because they got a lot of talent on offense. A big, strong offensive line. Braylon Edwards, Chris Perry, John Navarre, 4 turnovers, 7 penalties. That's going to kill you in the big games, and they got to get a lot more consistent. You saw what happened when they played Oregon with the poor play offensively, and they're going to go against some major football teams here in the next few weeks. Certainly you got to give Indiana a lot of credit the way they played and held in there, but they were vastly outmanned. But Michigan's inconsistency right now is something they've got to overcome if they're going to win the Big Ten championship.
I agree with you, Jim, precisely because Chris Perry had such a great start. We all heard his story. He has struggled with his focus earlier in his career. He seemed to be dead on, especially against Notre Dame, but since then, he's had problems. The entire offense has had turnover problems. And, they've got to have him play well because, as we were talking about with Lynn Swann, they don't really have a game-breaking passing game. I mean, it's incumbent upon Chris Perry to make that offense go. And so far, the last couple of weeks, they struggled.
Well, here's what I don't understand. Braylon Edwards, you talk about him as maybe being a game breaker, but what about Steve Breast? I mean, he was talking about this guy has touched the ball 30 times this year. 4 of them have resulted in touchdowns. I think he has 11 catches, 3 of them for TDs. You've got an experienced offensive line. You've got an experienced quarterback. You've got a great threat in Steve Breast. And why isn't he your game breaker?
Well, he might become the game breaker, but I think what Lloyd Carr said is an excellent point. He missed most of spring practice. He didn't have that summer work with the quarterbacks because he couldn't run with a bad hamstring. And only now is he beginning to emerge, and maybe that's the answer. Maybe he can begin to be opposite Braylon Edwards, stretch the field, makes more room for Chris Perry, and everybody's happy.
Game breaker is kind of the word of the day, but I guarantee you around the country there's not a lot of guys with you got defensive backs that can run 4-4. You got linebackers out there playing the backs and the tight ends man-to-man. You got those big old guys putting pressure on the quarterback. It's hard to break a game in today's college football. There's maybe 5 or 6 guys that can take over a game in college football like Larry Fitzgerald and Williams guys. But, game breakers hard to come by. I wish I could bring one out there and have it every week, but there's not many of them out there.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think Michigan still has to feel pretty good about where it's sitting, especially relative to Iowa. Iowa's got the Big Ten loss. Michigan doesn't have one. They picked up Northwestern and Indiana on the schedule this year, and they lost Penn State and Wisconsin. At Iowa, at Minnesota the next couple of weeks, I think it's going to tell us a lot about where this Michigan team stands. They come out of both of those with wins, and they're all of a sudden smelling like roses again.
We're all on the bandwagon again.
Yeah, we're all right back on them and saying, gee, why can't everyone be like Michigan?
continuing the tradition.
Here he goes! See you later! And he's got it on the ricochet! Touchdown! Touchdown!
ABC Sports Championship Television.
Big Ten football. No place for the faint of heart. In this conference, blue collar is the dress code. Kirk Ferentz and his Iowa Hawkeyes are a flock of tough birds, backed by one of the nation's stingiest defenses, and armed with a running back named Fred, who plays to a different tune. Today, perennial Big Ten power Michigan invades Kinnick Stadium. Lloyd Carr and his Wolverines have marched over many an opponent, mostly on the legs of their star running back Chris Perry. As Perry goes, so go the fortunes of the Maize and Blue. Big Ten powers collide in Iowa City next. A sold-out Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City for our BCS Spotlight game presented by ADT, number 11 Michigan and number 19 Iowa. And the Hawkeye fans remember well the feeling of a big win over Michigan last year. And today, much like the Grills, they are fired up and hoping to cook up another upset. Can they do it? We'll find out, but let's check in now with John, Terry, and Craig in New York. Fellas?
Brad, thanks a lot. And as you mentioned, last year, Iowa blew the doors off of Michigan. Michigan trying to get back into the national championship hunt. But maybe we're focusing on the wrong team.
Yeah, we might be, because Iowa's rush defense is really good. And right now, it's John Navarre's game to win or lose for Michigan. And statistically, when you look at Navarre's performance on the road against ranked opponents, it's not good. That one victory was against Illinois. He was sub for with Drew Henson, so he really hasn't won on the road. The guy's got talent, he's got potential, but he's got to show up and win today.
That was then, this is now. Even the Oregon loss, it was the kicking game. He had a great game. He's the leading passer in Michigan history. He's going to lead them to a victory in every game this year, including Ohio State. Going to take them to the championship game. And he'll be playing on Sundays.
You're still hoping for your pick right now.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, he's begging for his pick of the Heisman Trophy right there. 14 teams begin this weekend undefeated. One of them, Minnesota, facing Northwestern today. Asad Abdul Khalik, 96 yards to Jared Ellerson. I don't know where the defense was. He takes it in for the touchdown. Minnesota wallops Northwestern 42-17. Michigan State, Jeff Smoker's got it going again, 31-3 over Indiana. And Penn State, Wisconsin. This now late. Penn State, are they going to be able to make any type of comeback this year?
Well, you know, they may have gotten the quarterback situation straightened out. With Zach Mills gone, they've gone to Michael Robinson. He's thrown for over 300 yards. I don't know if they pull this one out, but he's maybe the quarterback of the future.
Just watching Penn State play, though, the talent level is not what it used to be like at Penn State.
All right, let's remind everybody what we still have coming up on ABC today. Other games that we will be following. Kansas State against Texas. Al Roberson is back to take on the Longhorns. Some of you will be in the ACC. Clemson against Maryland. Others will watch USC try and rebound against Arizona State. Your game is coming up.
The Iowa Hawkeyes once beaten. That last week to Michigan State, but a 4-1 record. A packed house on their home field for homecoming after a brilliant campaign a season ago that had 11 wins and an Orange Bowl berth. And they're hoping to go bowling big time again, and they know Michigan stands in their way. The 51st meeting between the Hawkeyes and the Wolverines about to occur at Kinnick Stadium. Something that Hayden Fry, the old Sly Fox, developed when he was the longtime coach, coming out hand in hand, and here they come. On the other side, once beaten Michigan, ranked 11th in the country, their only blemish on the road in an error-filled game against Oregon. Here come the Wolverines. A vital game today. Both of these teams very much in the hunt in the Big Ten. And the Big Ten today Northwestern took a surprising early lead on Minnesota, and the Golden Gophers stormed back to win 42-17. Wisconsin and Penn State still playing. Michigan State continues to be impressive with a win over Indiana. Illinois and Purdue will play a little bit later on. So here's how it looks right now. It's Minnesota atop the heap. Michigan State right there with them, and Ohio State likewise unbeaten. And it's Michigan and Iowa for the 51st time in this series right here today. Welcome to Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler along with Bob Greasy. You can talk all you want. Coaches can say there's no revenge factor when we play a team and we're beaten one year and you come back the next and try to pay back. Grease, I would be willing to bet you nobody on Michigan's team forgot 34-9 at their homecoming last year. So now it's Iowa's homecoming, and the Wolverines would like to turn the tide.
They're trying for a little payback. They've not lost here in their last 6 trips. And one thing is for sure, if it's a Big Ten game, 2 things are going to be there. One is going to be physical, and the other is they're going to try and run the football. We got 2 of the best running backs in the Big Ten here today. Chris Perry, the big, powerful back for Michigan, and Fred Russell, the smaller, shake-and-bake type of guy that can set something downfield, make some big plays.
They are number 1 and number 2 statistically in the Big Ten on the ground. You look at a game like this and you say physical, and you think, you know, maybe a special teams play will make the difference, and both these teams can do it in that area.
Well, they both have good defenses, but they also have a lot of special teams flavor to them. Steve Breston for Michigan leads the nation in kickoff and punt returns. Returned a punt last week against Indiana for a touchdown. Nate Kading for Iowa is the best place kicker in the country. If it comes down to a field goal, Iowa has the advantage. One other thing where Michigan is not strong, their punting unit has allowed 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. So I'm sure the Lloyd Carr is a little worried about that.
All right, Iowa's going to try to protect its quarterback and free up Fred Russell. A guy that's going to help do that is the topic for Lynn Swann. Swanee.
Well, thank you, Brad. We always highlight some of the best players on the team, and usually it's a skill position player like a quarterback or receiver. This time, as I stand in front of the guys who are part of Robert's gallery right here, it's going to be number 78, the offensive tackle. Iowa has never had a Lombardi Trophy winner. This man makes a strong case for that trophy this year. He is a dominant player. With the long hair coming out of the back, I liken him to Samson, don't you think? Yeah, Samson. And there are a whole bunch of defensive ends who think that they are the Delilahs. They're going to cut his locks and cut him out of this ball game. But watch him. He is a dominating player, and we'll give you more of him throughout the game. Right, guys?
All right, Swanee, protect yourself at all times. Our series record, 37-9-4. Michigan has won 15 of the last 19 here in Iowa City. Get into the game with Enhanced TV. Play along, get up to the minute stats, vote in polls. Enhanced TV is live now at ESPN.com. Michigan won the toss and deferred, so Iowa set to receive. Steinberg's got it teed up. And in front of a sellout crowd for homecoming, we are underway at Kinnick Stadium. The kick goes to Ochoa. He'll have to take a knee, and Iowa will work from its own 20-yard line. You want to talk about big quarterbacks? This guy's a big quarterback. 6'7", 250 plus.
He is the biggest in Division 1A football. He is not the heaviest, but he is the tallest. 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. This is his 6th career start.
Jared Lorenzen of Kentucky would win the heavyweight award between the two. So first down for the Hawkeyes from their own 20. They give it to Russell inside, and he's bottled up and dropped for a loss of almost 5. Patrick Massey's the guy that forced the play, and he got help from Grant Bowman. Our Outback Steakhouse starting lineup. And Robert Gallery, as Swanee said, is a guy that can put down a few steaks. Rothwell, Ferentz, McMahon, and Aiello across the front wall. The backs and receivers, Russell we talked about. Cervantes is his lead man at fullback. Jensen's a good tight end, and Davis and Ochoa, a wide receiver core that's been depleted by injury early in this season. Second down and 13. Here's Russell, and again he's popped, trying to run the ball and getting nowhere. Larry Stevens made the stop from the defensive line of Michigan, and it is a good one, and he is a good one. Stevens, Hoyer, Bowman, and Massey. A lot of experience and a lot of beef there for the Wolverines' front 4. The linebacking core, Woods, Reed, and Carl Diggs. And in the secondary, Great players in the corners, especially LeSueur, Jackson, Chazor, and Curry. And there's Stevens, who just made the first play of the ball game. A big one for him, and it brings up a 3rd down and long. 3rd down and 14. They'll give it off to the fullback Cervantes, and so it's 3 and out for Iowa. Not only that, they lost yardage on their opening drive.
3 running plays. The key for Iowa today is not turning it over on offense. If there is a weak link in all these teams, for both teams, it's the offense for Iowa.
As you may have seen, Wisconsin a winner over Penn State. Well, that rounds out pretty much the early games for you, with the exception of this one. Steve Breston, there's the guy Bob talked about, so dangerous as a return man. He says he looks at it as a game of tag. Well, he's not going to get to touch this one. Picked up by Iowa, but a flag down, interfering with the catch on a 49-yard punt.
There's no halo rule this year, but you must give him an opportunity to make the play.
Here's another look, and running right into Breston before he ever got a chance to put a hand on it, Miguel Merrick.
I think his own man, the Michigan guy, ran into Breston.
Steve Newman's our referee.
15 yards from the spot of foul. First down.
So the 15-yard penalty's walked off, and that means great field position to start their opening drive for John Navarre and the Wolverines offense. There's a big quarterback as well.
He's no shrink.
Iowa's going to take a timeout right here. Not what you want to do on your opening snap on defense, especially with Michigan already in your territory at the 44-yard line. We'll see how things go for Lloyd Carr's Wolverines when we come back. Bob, a great spot on a quick change after the punt and the penalty. Maybe try a home run ball.
On the other side of the 50-yard line, great opportunity.
They'll keep it on the ground, though. The toss is to Perry. And Perry bulls his way down for about 9 yards. So again, showing the power that Bob talked about. Let's take a look at our Outback Steakhouse starting lineups for Michigan. Boz is in there. Pearson, Lentz, Pape, Stenovich. Pape, a great right tackle. Perry, Dudley is the fullback. Massacoy is a great tight end, or could be if they used him more. Edwards and Avant are the wide receivers.
That offensive line for Michigan may be the best in the Big Ten this year. Iowa had the best last year. Michigan's got it this year.
Second down, a short 2. Navarre off play action now, goes down the middle, and a diving attempt, and incomplete. Braylon Edwards laid out for it, couldn't quite haul it in.
And he had it, the ball, it was there. If he just got the ball up a little bit where he could have caught it. Throw was a little low.
Sean Considine was with him in the secondary. Here's the lineup for Iowa. Hodges, Kloss, Babineau, Matt Roth, who plays 100 miles an hour all the time. The linebackers are Steen, Hodge, and Greenway. And the secondary, Johnson, Sanders, Considine, who made that last play, and Antoine Allen. Third down at 2. Navarre, the quick slant, high and incomplete.
Now Navarre is just off a little bit. The post pattern on second down was there if he would have gotten it up a little bit, and then the slant was there for the first down.
So Michigan doesn't do anything with great field position. They get 8 yards out of Perry's first run and come up empty on a couple of passes, and now they're fourth down, a short 2 at the 35-yard line.
Even though you've been around for 5 years, a fifth-year senior, and started 35 games, still when you go on the road in the Big Ten, the butterflies are there a little bit. Navarre's just a little bit off.
Garrett Rivas, a freshman, is going to try a long field goal if they can get an extra body up there to try to protect him. And Michigan's got to take time out.
We're talking about special teams. That was not a very impressive display by Michigan, trying to get their field goal team on. You got to holler his field goal, field goal. Everybody knows who's on that team.
They were a man short and are getting ready to try to give Rivas a shot at a long ball here from 52. 44 is his long on this, his first season. And that came a week ago in the win over Indiana. So we talked about Nate Kading being the best kicker in the country, and now it looks like Lloyd Carr is going to ask his freshman to hit a 52-yarder here. Special day here in Iowa because the old Sly Fox is back as the homecoming Grand Marshal of the parade. And it's Hayden Fry, of course, longtime coach here, won 143 games. Standing ovations for the coach. He was out here telling stories with Bo Schembechler, and the coach is going into the Hall of Fame coming up this year. And Bo's going to be part of the halftime festivities as well. You get those two guys in a hallway, and you got some stories.
I was out in the back hallway about 15 minutes before the game, and I didn't stop laughing.
Rivas for Michigan to try from 52, and he's going to pooch kick it. He takes the direct snap, and they'll quick kick it, and it looks like it's going to pay off. A beautiful kick by the youngster down to the 6-yard line. So Michigan's put Iowa in a hole with their special teams, even though they had to take a timeout just to get everybody out there.
Yeah. Well, that was a good play. Michigan, most of the teams have that play. They just don't want to take a chance on missing a field goal and giving Iowa a great field position to go the other way. Little punt. By not lining up in punt formation, Iowa doesn't drop anybody back.
Right.
So if you do it from field goal position, then you're liable to get them back inside the 10-yard line.
Now you see Nathan Chandler's predicament as he'll go under center at his own 6-yard line and give it off to Russell. Fred trying to cut back. Finally found a little bit of room, but it took a lot of second and third effort just to get out near the 10-yard line. Marlon Jackson finally put the stop on him. They list Fred at 5'8" and 190, and I don't think he's quite that tall. And when you get the Chandler brothers in there, as Scott's in there now with his quarterback brother, and now look at Russell, number 2. I mean, can he hide or what?
Right.
There he is.
He's right in the middle. We were talking to him yesterday. When they measured him, he must have been standing on a box.
Kirk Ferentz said we always measure our guys in cleats. That always helps. 2nd down and 7. We'll get it again. And again, he breaks a tackle. Didn't get a first down, but he got out to about the 14. That's going to bring up a 3rd down and short.
The defensive line of Michigan is winning the battle of the offensive line at this point. Gallery, the left tackle, the best offensive lineman in the country. He's over there on the left side. The other 4 guys are all new starters this year.
5 straight runs now by Iowa. See if they go to the ground again. They will. It's Russell. He's hitting the backfield, and Carl Diggs put a great stop on him. The captain of the defense, Diggs, the senior out of Warren, Ohio, with a big play. So a punting situation again. And again, it should be great field position for Michigan, whether they're able to field the punt or not. The kick hangs up. Preston's going to have to call for a fair catch. Nice punt. Got it out across midfield to about the 49-yard line of Michigan. The Wolverines will be on offense when we come back. No score in the first 4 minutes in Iowa City. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Hummer. Check out the H2 at your local dealer. Hummer like nothing else. SBC, ordinary people, extraordinary job. And Outback Steakhouse, no rules, just right. Field position's been just right for Michigan so far.
I'll say on their 49-yard line, and then the 43 of Iowa the first time.
You can see they're winning the battle of the field position. That's all it's been so far today, though. Perry off the left side, and he goes for about 4 to the 47 where Chad Greenway made the stop. Well, last year, Michigan, despite the fact that they are always playing well in the ground game, they got stuffed by Iowa last year. 22 yards on the ground for the whole team.
Exactly right, and that is the same thing. That's the same thing that Norm Parker, the defensive coordinator for Iowa, wants to do today. He said, I'd be very surprised if we don't stop their run game.
There's Norm. Longtime Big Ten assistant coach. 2nd down and 6. Navarre fires and short gain. Braylon Edwards, but Abdul Hodge was right there to make the stop.
Edwards number 1. Avant number 8. Look downfield to throw the deep ball first and then come off to the outlet. 3rd down and a couple.
Edwards, after that catch, has an even 100. End around to Breston. And Breston's got the first down inside the 40. So that's the first time we see number 15, who's electricity in a bottle, get his hands on it, with the exception of that fair catch on the punt moments ago.
Yeah, he can run. He's got a lot of explosiveness to him, and he was a high school quarterback. He wasn't a wide receiver. He's a redshirt freshman, spent all of last year just trying to be a wide receiver, and then came on the scene this year and has really lit it up.
Extra tight end Ecker comes in there. He is the tight end on a slot to the left side. So it's an empty backfield for all practical purposes for Navarre. And the quick throw goes complete inside the 30. Avant with the catch, and Javon Johnson made the stop. Michigan's had big first quarters this season.
Well, they come out and they just attack. That last time they had 5 receivers spread across the field, and to the top, the receiver at the top had nobody, no defensive back was lined up over him. Terry Malone, the offensive coordinator, up here in the booth along with Scott Leffler. I'm sure they noticed that.
Terry in the middle there as he leans forward to watch his first down play here. And it's a draw play to Perry. And Perry fights his way down to the 25. He got 3. Michigan comes in averaging over 38 points a game.
I think what we're seeing here, Brad, is a little bit of Michigan coming out and doing the same thing that Michigan State did to Iowa last week, spreading them from one side to the next. Michigan State scored on their first 2 possessions. Iowa's making the adjustment to that here today.
Second down and 7 from the 25. Navarre pump fakes, now wants to throw back a screen the other way. Not only did Iowa read it pretty well, but it wasn't thrown very well to Perry, incomplete.
Well, Babineau, number 45, the defensive lineman, recognized it and was kind of chasing it. And Navarre made sure that he didn't underthrow it.
So a third down and long. And the Iowa fans come to life for the Hawkeye defense. All 3 wideouts to the top of your screen.
That's a tight end down here.
Navarre fires, complete. First and goal, Michigan down to the 4-yard line. Avant made a nice catch.
They had 3 wide receivers to the wide side, brought the 2 of them into the middle, and Avant was all alone. 3 receivers. The one at the top is going to just go down, break to the inside. Look how open he is. Right there, good throw by Navarre.
A 20-yard pickup, and it's first and goal, Michigan. 3 tight ends set up at the Iowa 5. Perry right up the middle, touchdown, Michigan. Perry hammers his way home for his 8th rushing touchdown of the year.
That's that big offensive line Michigan has just running right at them. The best way to do it inside the 5-yard line. Don't get fancy, just run it right up the middle.
And remember, the great field position is what started all this. They only had to go half the length of the football field.
That's for sure. A short field. They had a short field twice, made it the second time.
Rivas' extra point is up, and it's good. So Michigan on the road draws first blood with 7:56 remaining in the first. They lead Iowa by a touchdown.
Here's the touchdown again. Nothing fancy, just going to be a handoff right up the center. The left tackle, the left guard is going to pull across the formation. Hodge, the linebacker, overruns it. And there's just a little gap in there, and Perry says, that's enough for me.
He got 5 and he got the touchdown.
Little activity out on the outside.
Edwards and Allen going at it.
Tell you what, we said this is going to be a physical game, and Edwards was taking it to Allen that time, but I'm sure the other side was involved in some activities early in the game.
Right. Ochoa has to take a knee again. Nice kick. And Iowa again with the long field. They'll work from the 20-yard line. And Michigan has completely stuffed the ground game of Fred Russell so far. 5 rushes, 3 for no gain or a loss. Well, Michigan doing its job on defense.
6 runs by Iowa, no passes. They've started on their 20 twice and on their 6-yard line 1 time. Not very good field position.
Again from the 20. There's Michigan defensively. 4th in the country in pass efficiency. Pump fake. And now they're going for a home run ball and got a man out there, and he overshot Ochoa. Chandler had a shot. Ochoa had 2 steps, but it's incomplete. Let's head to New York. Here's John.
And the Verizon wireless update. Remember, USC upset by Cal last week, trying to get it back going with a 7-0 lead. But then Andrew Walter goes 12 yards to Skylar Fulton. He gets it in for the touchdown. Just like that, Arizona State comes back to tie it. About 5 minutes left in the first quarter.
All right, John, here's 7-0 Michigan. And a 2nd down and 10 for Nathan Chandler, who just threw the deep ball incomplete and had a man out there. He'll try a play action again. Now he's got a scramble. And he's not going to scramble for much against this defense. Goes down at the line of scrimmage.
He's no Brad Banks.
Nope.
And the Michigan defenders are thankful for that. Brad Banks, the quarterback, Iowa last year, just tore him up by scrambling. He was a lot smaller and a lot quicker and a lot faster. Chandler doesn't have those abilities. He's much taller, a pocket passer, not much of a scrambler.
So a 3rd down and long situation. And on 3rd downs this season, out of 20 completions, 17 were good enough to move the sticks. We'll see if he can do it here on 3rd and 10. In the pocket. Now going long again. Almost running under it was Calvin Davis. Actually 2 receivers out there. And incomplete. Some restless Hawkeye fans.
Yeah,
already.
they shouldn't be, really. Iowa wanted to come in here against a very aggressive Michigan defense, a secondary who jumps on a lot of the quick stuff, do a little out and up, a quick and go, a slant and up. They had it on the first play of that series, just overthrew it.
Bradley now to punt again. And again, he'll be kicking it near his own 10-yard line if he gets it away, and he does, and he hangs another pretty nice one up there for Breaston. He'll have a chance at this one. Oh, what a hit on a special teams. Dropped in his tracks, and it's Bob Sanders, the captain of the defense, and one of the biggest hitters in college football. He showed it right there. He may not be the biggest, but he's one of the biggest hitters.
No question about that. Completely legal. Gave him a chance to catch the football. Bob Sanders is everything that you just said, Brad. He was an all Big Ten player last year. Not real big. He's only 5'8", but he brings a wallop. They all know him in the Big Ten. All the receivers, all the running backs know who Bob Sanders is.
We spent some time with him yesterday. You want to talk intense? There it is. 1st down, Michigan. Their worst field position, and it's the 36-yard line. Navarre on 1st down, across the middle. Great catch by Breaston. Boy, caught the back end of that ball and almost got to midfield. That thing looked like it was going to slide right through, and it looked like he caught the back end of it.
He did catch the back end of it. Well-designed play. The receivers flanked way out to the quarterback's left, and Breaston on the other side just runs a little route like a back would run, little circle out of the backfield.
Well, they want to get him. Excuse me, Swanning.
That's a better catch than you thought, guys. That ball was tipped a little bit as it came across that offensive line, so that was pretty darn good concentration to catch it at all.
No doubt. They want to get him in that space. They got him in there. Back to the ground, and a pickup of about 5 for Chris Perry. Perry running hard. Greenway makes the stop. Here's Bob Sanders, the guy we're talking about, the Iowa strong safety. And he's playing on a bad foot.
Yeah.
And it's probably not going to heal all year.
Had surgery about a month ago. Missed a couple of the early ball games, and now he's back, and he's talking to him. He wanted to say that he was healthy, but you could just tell that he's not going at 100%.
He wasn't even in pads Thursday at practice. Here's a quick throw out to Edwards. It's a 1st down toss. Nice throw by Navarre, and it's 1st down Michigan inside the Iowa 40. So Braylon Edwards, who didn't start last week, sort of a disciplinary move by Lloyd Carr with his I guess, say star wide receiver. Braylon says he's a star wide receiver.
well, Braylon, for those of you who may not know the story, went and asked for the number 1, and the number 1 in Michigan has only been worn by 4 or 5 players. And Braylon says all the great players at Michigan wore it, so I want to wear it.
Lloyd wants him to prove it before he wears it, but he has had a good first quarter, that's for sure. Perry, whoa, cartwheeled. I wonder who.
Yeah.
I just wonder who. Number 33 again. His 205 pounds is completely poured into that body, and he likes to take people's heads off if at all possible.
I mean, that's our game. You know, we want to come out, we want to be physical, and we want to put some big hits on the board, and that's what we try to do every week. And if we can do that, it sets the tone for our offense, and helps those guys get motivated and try to get some drives.
I'd say he's had a couple pretty big hits already in the last 5 minutes. Second down and long. Navarre, the pump fake. They try that throwback screen again. This time it's Breston, and Breston's met in the hole and dropped. Considine, the other safety, makes the play for Iowa that time, and now flags fly in late. It's been a little chippy out there, and Iowa acting like this one's going to go against Michigan.
Well, whenever you get these two teams very physical, everybody wants to try and intimidate the other guy. There may be some talking or some little pushing going on after the play ended.
Personal foul, and it is against the Wolverines.
That's your lower right corner of your screen. Right here.
Right there.
Yeah.
Avant shoving Javon Johnson.
Yeah, and that's he just didn't come up and do that. Johnson probably jammed him or did something to him, and he's just trying to get him back. Johnson is a corner. Avant is a wide receiver. Those little guys on the outside are getting something going.
A second down at 22 at midfield. Navarre's 6 completions have all been to the wideouts as he's back to throw again, and he's going deep again, and he's got Edwards up there. He's got it. Inside the 15.
Allen just didn't see the ball. Navarre does a nice job of putting it out there. Edwards sees it coming the whole way, and the defensive back never sees it. Watch Allen there at the top of the screen. He just doesn't find the ball. Right there.
He doesn't find it, but what Braylon Edwards did a great job of, Bob, was just continuing running down the field, trying to drive the defensive back until the defensive back had to turn his back to the ball. Then Edwards just went up and made the catch.
And 7 of 10 for Navarre. He's back to throw again. Down the middle, touchdown to Edwards. A strike from Navarre to Braylon Edwards, who's having a huge first quarter. 14-yard touchdown.
I guess the best way to get an attitude right is Pine.
Yep. He's starting to play like he should be wearing that jersey right now.
Put him on the bench, and you come out on fire.
Soon to be 14-0 Michigan if Rivas hits the point after, and he does. So Braylon Edwards has caught 4 balls for 62 yards already in the first quarter, including the touchdown, and that has put Michigan out in front. They've already scored more than they did all last year in the matchup with Iowa. 14-0 Michigan.
Take a look from behind the defense. Good protection. Edwards wide open.
Perfect throw.
Iowa playing a lot of zone coverage because they don't have the speed and quickness to stay with these wide receivers. They've always played a lot of zone. Try to let the receivers catch the ball and then come up and be physical with them.
And guys, when you were talking about Edwards, Lloyd Carr makes no misunderstanding about this. Edwards is a good kid. He's a real good kid. He works hard. He just said maybe his focus wasn't where it was supposed to be earlier on in the season. And they talked about it, decided to make some changes and adjustments just to get him to focus on what the job was and the responsibilities of wearing number 1.
So far, he's lived up to the potential in this quarter, that's for sure. Again, a nice kick, and Ochoa has trouble with this one, and he's going to bring it out from 2 yards deep. And he got it Little bit of a crack down the sideline and a penalty marker. This is going to bring it way out near midfield. A 31-yard return and a late hit to boot.
I think it was the kicker that hit him late. Now, by all accounts, when you drop the ball in the end zone, you should stay there. But I think Iowa is frustrated a little bit. And Ochoa said, let me do something. I'm anxious to do something. There's the late hit by the kicker.
Not many kickers get late hits, but here it comes.
Now, they don't get a lot of practice.
That's true.
After the play was over, first late hit on the kicking team. 15 yards, first down.
All right, Steve. Obviously, Steve Newman's referee mic is breaking up a little bit on us as well.
Newman.
Or Seinfeld when we need him. We knew that was going to happen to Newman at the 46-yard line. So finally, good field position because the last 3 times have all ended in punts. Chandler play fake and throws wide open out in the flats. Got his man, James Townsend. And the freshman fighting for the first down and very close to it. 9-yard pass play.
Makes a difference when you're out of the shadow of your own goalpost. You're up near the 50-yard line when you start a drive. The last time they had possession, they threw on first down and should have had it. Again, faking the run. Chandler does a nice job of recognizing the defensive end and getting the ball away.
Yeah, because Hoyer was about ready to level him, and he got rid of it just in time. First play, they've run down Michigan territory with the Hawkeyes just inside the Wolverines' 45. Penalty markers stop play here with 3:47 remaining first quarter. Illegal procedure against the Hawkeyes, so just when they get into Michigan territory, they almost back themselves out of it. It's just shaded on the Wolverine side of the 50. Lloyd Carr in his 9th season now as the head man at Michigan, and he's won 50 Big Ten games, 50 and 15 coming into this one. There's his overall mark of 80 and 24. Second down and 6 following the penalty. Chandler, nice play fake to Russell, and he's going down the middle and got his man. First down, and a helmet to popping as Eric Jensen, the tight end, holds onto the ball and almost lost his head. And he'll take that trade-off any day. Catch the ball, lose your helmet.
You got that right. Jensen came in with 7 catches on the year.
He's still smiling about it. There's the grab, and here comes all the white shirts, and boom, there goes the headgear. Iowa's first down. And now Michigan almost jumped in the neutral zone as Chandler on a bootleg throws, and he's got an open man again, and down the sideline is Cervantes, the fullback. And all of a sudden the Hawkeyes have something working, a pickup of 13 as we check in with John Saunders in New York. John.
Kansas State punter Jared Bright back to let it go, but Michael Huff gets in, blocks it cleanly. Tony Jeffrey falls on it. Touchdown Texas as they grab the lead, and they are marching yet again with about a minute to go in the first quarter, 7-0.
First and 10 at the 14. And Russell left side, and Fred had something moving there until he moved backwards, courtesy of the safety Ernest Shazor. Down near the 10-yard line, though, as Iowa trails by 2 touchdowns.
It's a big drive for the Hawkeyes. If they could get this in, get back in the ball game.
Second down upcoming and 7. And tough sledding for little Fred Russell. Every time it looks like he has a little crack to work with, Michigan fills it in a hurry.
Well, Michigan came in 3rd in the nation in total defense, so it ain't going to be easy.
On second down, Chandler standing tall and firing. Penalty markers down. I think it's going to be defensive holding or pass interference on Shazor. And that'll give Iowa a 1st and goal situation if that's the call.
defense. Half the distance to the goal, and an automatic first down.
It was holding, and it is first down. Right there, a whole bunch of jersey.
Oh, yeah. He held him around his waist. That's
Chandler, the younger brother of the quarterback, is 6'7". He's down to the bottom of your screen. Play action now. Big brother Nathan running for his life. Chandler heading to the end zone. Did he get there?
Yes.
Yes. Touchdown, Iowa. That was a lot of body running a long ways. Touchdown, Iowa. So now they're happy at homecoming for the time being. Nate Kading in for the point after. They try to make it 14-7, and he does. So Iowa finally got decent field position, and they did this with it.
Little play action, 2 tight ends. Here's the key right here. Chandler gets away one-on-one from the defensive end. That's the freshman, Woodley. He gets away from him. Now there's nobody to throw to in the end zone, and he just sacrifices his body. Makes a great play.
If he's a regular-sized quarterback, he stretches out and doesn't get there. But he's a jumbo.
He'd stretch out and get to the 5-yard line.
That's right. Next weekend, college football's best collide on Separation Saturday, first at noon Eastern. We'll be in Tallahassee. It's 5-0 against 5-0. Miami and Florida State with BCS position and state bragging rights on the line. At 3:30, you'll either see Texas take on Oklahoma, Penn State and Purdue, or other regional action. Check your local listings for the game in your area. And we'll be at Doak Campbell Stadium for a couple of 5-0s, both ranked in the top 5. And that should be a dandy, but Miami had their hands full Thursday.
Just got by West Virginia. Got banged up a little bit too, but they got a lot of depth down there.
So Kading set to kick. Tab and Rembert are back to wait on it at the 5-yard line. High deep kick. It's Tab at the 3. The return to the right's not going far. Iowa's fired up now after their touchdown, and their special teams play well. We mentioned West Virginia and Miami on Thursday night. This Armstrong kid, was this not one of the best runs you've ever seen in your life on the swing pass?
Was it Wilson?
Wilson, rather.
Otis Wilson.
Otis Wilson's son.
Yeah.
And then Kellen Winslow's son.
Yes.
Kellen Jr. makes the grab, and nothing petty about the kick.
And then Mrs. Petty's son.
5 field goals for Petty in a squeaker for Miami on Thursday night. Here it's a screamer for the Iowa fans. They're all of a sudden into it. They've been tailgating for about 6 hours out here on a beautiful October afternoon, and now they're back in the hunt. It's 14-7. Perry, nice move, cuts inside, got a great block from his wideout, and he's got a first down out at the 34-yard line. Oh, that comeback block was a dandy. That looked like Lynn Swann out there, didn't it?
He's got. No, he didn't look like me, because I would have taken him low. But he looked like a guy, again, who should be wearing number 1 when you start to do all the little extra things we know a great football player will do.
I think he shook himself up, to be honest. He's going off right now.
He might have. That's the kind of blow to do it to you.
That was about a 20-yard run that takes about 40 yards of effort. Cutting back, up, out, over.
There's the block. Wow. Navarre comes up firing on first down, incomplete, intended for Breston, and that time Iowa got a little bit of pressure on Navarre. They haven't been able to do that yet today.
Well, Iowa's got to pressure Navarre because they can't put pressure on the wide guys because they don't do that. They play zone coverages. They can't play too deep because they don't have enough speed. They just sit. It's kind of a catch. When you catch the ball, we're going to come up and hit you. It's a physical defense, bend but don't break type of thing.
Second down and 10. Navarre had hit his last 6 passes until that last incompletion. On the stretch play, Perry, And this time Iowa again. Grant Steen is the guy that forced the play, the senior from Emmitsburg. And a loss on the play. It'll be 3rd down and long. This is an important 3rd down for the Iowa defense. If they can get it back for their offense right now, I think the game settles in a little bit.
Iowa defensively was 17th coming into the game today. They are very good defensively. They do give up some yards, but they're very physical. They'll knock the ball loose on you.
And you know, last week against Michigan State, they got shell-shocked by Smoker in the first 2 drives and found themselves in the same predicament they were in today.
The rest of the game, they only gave up 2 field goals.
Right. Minute left, first quarter. 3rd and long. Navarre loads and fires, got his man on the run. And Avant's got a big play all the way down to the 24-yard line.
That's just good play calling, first of all, by the coaches upstairs, and good execution by the players on the field.
The long balls by Navarre have been right on the money today. And Avant ran a nice route and got himself some separation and picked up 38 yards.
Here's the receiver right here. Look at the area that he has to throw the ball to. Oh, he run a nice route, came inside, ran it off of the inside safety. Smith broke to the outside. Navarre put it there.
And now Perry on 1st down. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage, maybe not. Derek Robinson is the first guy to hit him. So Avant and Edwards and Breston have all had some big pass plays so far for Michigan here in the opening quarter. They lead 14-7.
2 things contributing to those big plays. Number 1, the offensive line is giving Navarre all kinds of time to throw. Secondly, the defense. If you got time to throw, there's going to be some things in the secondary you're going to hit.
Iowa would like to get its pressure on Navarre with its front 4, because if they come blitzing, then you could be in trouble.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And it's 2nd down and 11 here on what might be the final play of the first quarter. And Navarre calls a timeout with 10 seconds remaining and the play clock winding down in a hurry. So Michigan takes its 2nd timeout with 10 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Well, we've got a little timeout here. Here's today's singular wireless poll question. Which games of next week will be the best? Miami, Florida State, Oklahoma, Texas, Michigan, Minnesota, which is a Friday night game, Georgia and Tennessee, and Louisiana, Monroe and Louisiana, Lafayette. Singular users text message to 222 ABC or log on to ESPN.com, search singular. We'll have the results of the poll in the second half of today's game.
I'd say if you lived in Louisiana, that E game might be the best.
All right, I'd say so too. It'll be hard to beat those first 2, and if Michigan wins this one, they'll take on an undefeated top 20 Minnesota Gopher team at the Metrodome on a Friday night. And the Michigan coaches and all the way around are not too crazy about that trip to Minneapolis on a Friday night.
Friday night. Why are they doing on Friday night?
Well, that's because the Twins got a little action going on.
The Twinkles.
Yep,
huh?
yep. The Twins lost today to the Yankees, we understand.
But if they lose that series, they're not going to change the game back.
I don't think so.
No, you can't do that.
So this, a 2nd down and 11. Maybe the final play of the quarter as Navarre drops to throw. Across the middle he goes to Edwards on a crossing pattern. He's brought down as he got across the 30. Just 2 or 3 yards really on the pass play before Greenway puts the stop on him and puts a stop to the first quarter as well. So Michigan came fired up out of the blocks, had great field position, scored twice, but Iowa's come back to make it a 14-7 game. That's the score at the end of 1. You're watching the BCS Spotlight game presented by ADT here on ABC. The Wolverines have a 3rd and 8 at the Iowa 29 to open the second quarter. Navarre down the sideline, overshot his intended receiver Avant, who's been his big play man on 3rd down so far today. But it's 4th, and let's see if they bring out the field goal unit. And this time maybe give the freshman a try. Last time he pooch punted it down to the 6-yard line on a nice quick kick. But Rivas, I think they're going to give him a crack here. 44 is his season and career long for the freshman. And this one will be about 47 yards. Matt Gutierrez, the backup quarterback, is his holder. And Matt's got a finger down. Garrett Rivas from 47. Kick on the way. And it's good.
Skimmed across, didn't
he? Skimmed it. Just like a rock across the lake.
There you go.
17-7. So Rivas has his longest kick of his young Michigan career. And here's how it looks coming down. Boom. Not bad, huh?
That's enough. He says, I had that time just right. Didn't kick too much and just enough.
So Michigan, after getting clobbered a year ago on their homecoming, suffering their worst loss as Brad Banks went to work. The worst loss by a Michigan team for a homecoming game since 1937. They had their hands full all day long with Banks and his receivers as they just chewed up the Michigan defense en route to a 34-9 counts.
Yeah, of course.
Different story today so far.
Of course, Iowa went on and had a great year. Went 11-2, went to the Orange Bowl, was ranked in the top 5 going into that last game.
And there's a good young coach they have.
Yes, sir.
Kurt Ferentz.
Doing a great job.
He started off slow because that first season was only 1 win. We asked him yesterday, I said, how tough was those first couple years? He said, hey, you've been in football long enough, you know that there's always going to be those spots and you just have to persevere. And boy, they put it together last year and they got another good team this year. Ochoa's in the open field. On the kick return, he's all the way out to the 48-yard line. 37-yard return.
2 big returns for Ochoa that were really unorthodox. He dropped the first one in the end zone.
And this one they bobbled.
The ball's bouncing around. Sometimes the covering team, the defensive team coming down, relaxes a little bit when the timing is busted. Sometimes you can get good returns off of that, and Ochoa has done 2 of those.
Yes, he has. Longest kick return allowed by Michigan this year. That 37-yarder sets up the Hawkeyes at their own 49-yard line. Tailback in the eye, they fake it to him, and the throw is complete, but it's low. And Calvin Davis had to go to the turf to make it, but he does make the catch at the 45-yard line.
They had some running room because the corner at the top there had slipped down also. That ball would have been a better throw. Curry had slipped. Could have got maybe a first down out of it.
So they got 6, and it's 2nd down and 4. Chandler, you'll see the size of this guy when he walks up to the line. Actually, you can see it from a long ways away. A giant of a quarterback at 6'7".
Just check the shadow.
Michigan, he casts a long one. Michigan showing blitz. They bring it. He throws in that general vicinity, but it's incomplete.
That's too hard to throw, Nathan.
Calvin Davis, the intended receiver, it's incomplete.
Can't throw it that hard to a guy that close.
Fred Russell, who really, number 2 there, didn't do much with his carries against the Michigan defense, so Iowa's starting to put it in the air, and they'll probably put it up again here on 3rd and 4.
You can see how short Russell is. Michigan came in here determined to stop the run of Iowa, and they've done that for the most part. Iowa's gone mostly to the passing game.
Iowa, you saw 0 for 3 on their 3rd down conversions. They were only 4 of 15 in that area last week against Michigan State. Here on 3rd down, Chandler, this time he rifles it, 1st down to the 35, and he got it to Calvin Davis, the redshirt freshman from right here in Iowa City.
Davis does a nice job of beating the bump. The protection was there. Chandler takes his time and makes the completion.
This kid played at City High. He hasn't had to go far to be a Hawkeye. They got a lot of good guys that have come out of that school. So Chandler now 5 of 8. 2 tight ends in for Iowa as they'll try the ground game again. Russell, and now Fred gets a little crease, and he's got a 1st down run to the 25-yard line. Finally something opened up for the little guy.
Well, he didn't go down easily. You have to bring him down. He's so close to the ground, and he's so shifty. He's got such great balance. Take a look from behind the defense. It's called a stretch play. He sees a gap. He can go anywhere he wants. Breaks that tackle. Nice run.
And a 1st down at the 25. Here in the 2nd quarter, Iowa trying to close the gap on a 17-7 Michigan lead, and it's Russell again. pinballing his way inside. Patrick Massey finally puts a stop on it, but Fred got 3 tough yards again as we check in with Swanee.
Well, Bob and Brad, you may notice that number 29, Leon Hall, is out there at the left corner position. The starter, number 21, Jeremy LeSueur, has not been out there the entire time this last possession. On the touchdown that Nathan Chandler scored in that big pileup, he was in on that pileup, came out, just bent over, went over to the sideline. I'm not sure what's wrong with him. They're not giving us information, but he's standing on the sideline, but he's not going to come back anytime soon.
You see him raising or trying to raise that left arm as if it's something maybe in his shoulder or left arm area. Chandler, the throw out in the flats complete, but again slipping down to his knees. This time it's Cervantes, the fullback, but they get decent yardage, and it's going to bring up a 3rd down and a much needed 4. $12:15 remaining in the half. Brad Nessler, Bob Greasy, Lynn Swann, and our ABC crew on a bright, sunshiny day in Iowa City. Hawkeyes led by Kirk Ferentz in their homecoming and the 51st meeting with the Michigan Wolverines, and they trail 17-7. 3rd down, a long 2. Chandler's throwing to his brother. Got him! No, he dropped it. Chandler going to his tall wide receiver little brother, and he almost had a touchdown.
Ball was there. Here's another look. 6'7", throwing to 6'7", against the guy that's only 5'10".
Had it and let it slip away.
Scott Chandler, 87, is a true freshman.
And with the injuries to wide receivers, he's going to see more and more work. Nate Kading, who won the Groza Award last year as the nation's top kicker, will try a 34-yard field goal. And a kick on the way. And it's good. They call him automatic. He pretty much is. 17-10, Michigan in front on the road. Nate Kading's 34-yard field goal ended a 34-yard drive in 8 plays, a little over 3 minutes, and closed the gap on the Michigan lead to a touchdown, 17-10. Renbert and Breston await Nate's kickoff, and holy mackerel, he knocked it about 8 rows into the crowd. You think he doesn't have a big leg? That's a kickoff for you.
He's the best kicker that come out of college since Sebastian Janikowski.
Janikowski's the only guy that ever won 2 Groza Awards in his junior and senior seasons, and Nate has that capability this year.
And just talking to him, you know, he doesn't talk and act like a kicker.
No, he's a little tougher than that.
Yeah, he's one of the guys. He's out throwing balls at practice. He's not a kicker mentality. He's a player.
There's your total yardage. Michigan more than twice as much as they go back to Chris Perry. And Perry got stuffed right at the line there. No gain. Babineau underneath that whole pile's one of the guys that forced it as they unpile the bodies. Klaus, the other tackle, in there as well. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
But Brad, even though both of these teams have the real good runner, 1st and 2nd in the Big Ten, as we mentioned at the top of the show, you don't expect them to get a lot of yardage today because the defenses are so good.
That's the 3rd straight rush for Perry that he has had no gain.
So you kind of expect the passing games to have to kick in. Michigan's has done very well so far.
That they have. Navarre's been the man. He's back to throw again, and he finds his receiver again in the open field. It's Avant. It's a foot race. Broke a tackle. Avant down the sideline. Going to be run out at about the 8-yard line. He's been the big play man on 3rd down. There he just rips off the long completion from Navarre. It's good for 71 yards.
I think Considine, the free safety, goes for the interception or to knock the ball away. And Avant just takes it and just takes off. Inside receiver going to come down. Watch as he breaks to the inside. And right there, Considine just goes for it and misses.
And it's the longest play for Michigan this year. And now they've got it 1st and goal at the Iowa 9. Perry Nope. Only the line of scrimmage, maybe a half yard. Matt Roth, the defensive end, number 31, made the stop.
The difference in these two teams, Brad, are the receivers right now. Both defenses are stopping the running game, the running backs. The quarterbacks for Michigan are getting the ball out to his receivers, Avant and Breston and Edwards, and they're doing something with it. Iowa, their receivers, their starting receivers are injured. They're using backups and not getting anything done.
Second down and goal, Michigan. 220 passing yards for Navarre. He'll try to add to it here. To the end zone. Edwards almost made a circus catch on the back line, but Sanders was there with him, and so was Javon Johnson. He had to thread a needle there, and he had to go over number 33 or through him.
He catches that ball, he's got to be 10 feet tall.
Yep.
To get his feet in bounds.
So now it's third and goal. So a huge play for the Iowa defense here with 10 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Iowa's going to blitz. Navarre to the corner, and he overshot his intended receiver.
Forced him to throw it a little bit before he wanted to.
Exactly.
Because the receiver was open. If he could have set his feet and released it, but Navarre knew he couldn't because there had a free guy coming.
They picked their spots to blitz. They haven't done it much, but it pays off here.
We're going to run to the corner, the very top of the screen. There he is right there, wide open. If he would have had time to set, he had it.
So now Garrett Rivas will try to make it a 10-point game again with a 26-yard field goal attempt. And the kick from the left hash is perfect and quiets the crowd again, at least momentarily, at Kinnick Stadium, as the Hawkeyes fall again behind by 10 on their homecoming. Michigan 20, Iowa 10. We'll be back. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Nissan and your Nissan dealer. The Home Depot, you can do it, we can help. And Capital One, what's in your wallet? Beautiful sunshiny day in Iowa City. There are the Hawkeyes at homecoming. Michigan leading 20-10. And Herkes getting fired up. Nienberg set to kick. Most of that 72-yard drive was Navarre to Avant. That covered 71.
And Navarre's got 220 yards passing.
This time a high pooch kick down to the 20. Calvin Davis.
Look out.
Almost got the sideline and took off. Got a nice return of about 24 yards. And the kicker had to knock him down again.
There is a pretty good wind going from our left to right, so he was kicking into the wind that time.
There's our Nissan drive summaries from the last couple of possessions. A touchdown and a field goal, and they would like to get one more touchdown here.
Good field position, though, too.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
Michigan has scored on its last 4 drives, Iowa on its last 2, as we just showed you there. So the offenses are starting to click, but it's been tough sledding against the defenses, if that makes any sense. Chandler, and there's a tough defense as he tried to bootleg his way out of trouble, and Woods was not going to let him out of the woods.
Yeah. On the touchdown going the other way, he got loose from the defensive end. But when you're 6'7" and you don't run very well, you're not going to beat these fast defensive ends and linebackers for Michigan very often.
And you see Fred Russell could only get a little push block, and it was way too late as well. As Woods came flying in there.
Little Russell's blocking on Pierre Woods. Woods is 6'5" and 230. He didn't do a very good job, and he at the sack.
Eric McCollum, another freshman receiver in for Iowa. And here's a quarterback draw, and Chandler's not going anywhere on that one either. And nowhere to hide, a loss of 5. And Bowman and company in there to make the hit. Bowman, another one of the captains out of Black Lick, Ohio, a 290-pounder. Been around, played a lot of ball. Honorable mention, all Big Ten last season.
Here's the reason this doesn't work. Watch the defensive line. It's a crisscross, and that screws up the blocking. See the two inside tackles, they cross. That fouls up the blocking of the center and the two guards. Draws aren't going to work against that.
And now it's third down in an Iowa country mile. In the open field, Cervantes, the fullback. And he got back to about the 39. Lawrence Reed made the tackle. And it's fourth down. And the punting unit will have to come on for the Hawkeyes.
Well, the one unit that we were concerned about, and Lloyd Carr was concerned about it, was Michigan's punting unit. They haven't had to punt today. The only punt that they did with their field goal kicker did a little sharp pooch punt.
And there's Bradley's numbers on the day. Breaston waits on it back at the 15. We told you how dangerous he can be if he gets his hands on it and gets a little daylight. Bad snap. Bradley handled it well, but a wobbly kick. And Breaston's going to take it on the bounce. And down he goes, and again, great coverage. This time it's Miguel Merrick. Merrick remembers the guy that interfered with Breaston's first catch attempt, and this time he makes up for it.
Takes it on the hop.
Right there.
Yep.
Shoestringed him. And we got a quick break before Michigan goes on offense. Give us time for our Aflac trivia question for the week. Which opponent does Iowa have the most homecoming wins against on this homecoming of 2003? And we'll give you the answer to that one a little bit later on. First down just inside the 22 for Michigan. There's the stretch play to Perry. A lot of black jerseys over there. Pickup of a yard or two. And Babineau and company got over there to make it second down and long. Down to 7:20 remaining in the half. 20-10 Michigan. Most of Michigan's success off the arm of John Navarre and his wide receivers in their last 4 possessions. 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals. You keep that kind of pace up, you'll take that any day.
Yeah, and that's something that Iowa defensively is not used to, being scored on 4 times in a row.
No turnovers yet in the ball game. And up the middle, across the 25 to the 28. Robinson puts a stop on Chris Perry.
Michigan came into this game 92nd in the nation in turnover margin. That means they're turning it over a lot and not getting it very many times on defense.
Second to last in the Big Ten in that capacity. A third down and 3. Coming into the game, 42% in that statistic on third down. Let's see how they do here. Breaston in motion across the field. He's kind of a little push option to Perry, and he just takes it by himself for the first down. We saw Iowa run that in practice the other day.
Yeah, all the teams have it. They don't run it a lot because your running back is out there by himself. Take a look. It's just going to be a fake this way and then pitch it to the receiver, to the running back coming around the end. Now you got 2 guys you got to outrun. Now if you can outrun them, then you got to stop and go back inside. But it's a good, safe play if you got to back as quick as Perry or Russell.
Perry will get a breather, and Underwood will take his spot in the Michigan backfield. And he'll get his first touch. Only about 2 yards. Greenway put him down. I'll bring up second down along 8. And that's a quick breather. Quick drink of water, and back comes Chris Perry. Perry over 1,100 yards on the ground last year and 14 touchdowns. And as Bob said, not only the top rusher in the Big Ten, but the number 4 rusher in the country coming into this one. Breaston, the last into the huddle in a hurry on second down and 8. And now he trots out into the slot on the left side.
2 wide receivers on both sides.
Navarre wants to throw a screen and does. Perry, tough catch in traffic, and he got to the 40. Bob Sanders again part of the pileup that brings him down. First catch by a running back today for the Wolverines. Everything's pretty much been wide receiver oriented.
Just looking, saw Bo Schembechler before the game, and I'm just noticing this Michigan offense. The quarterback has 224 passing yards.
That was a season when Bo was there.
I know. And they're rushing. They're not doing real good rushing. I think they got like 50 yards rushing, and it's not the type of game that Bo's used to seeing.
They picked up a 3rd and 3 moments ago. This is 3rd and 4. From the 40, Navarre Pressure coming, flares it out, dropped it. Should have had it. Massaquoi, the tight end, had his hands on it but couldn't hold it. Considine was there, and Massaquoi knows it. You can see by his reaction.
He doesn't get that many opportunities. I mean, he should. He's a good quality tight end, but with all the wide receivers that they've got, they don't throw it to the tight end much.
Now their punting game has been a problem.
They've had 2 punts blocked that were returned for touchdowns, and 1 punt was returned. A kick was returned for the touchdown.
They get this one away. Ochoa trying to clear everybody out of the way. It's going to roll out at the 20, maybe the 19-yard line. And that is where Iowa will have it back when we return. 4:43 till halftime. 20-10 Michigan. Michigan on that last punt set up a 3-man wall in front of their punter, and Greenway tried to go over it. Watch this cartwheel coming up. There you go. And Iowa now first down at the 20. Nice play fake by Chandler. Gets around the rush. Wants to throw deep on the sidelines. Got a man wide open. Inside the 40, it's McCollum, the freshman. Oh, he snuck down the sideline on him. 42-yard pickup. A penalty marker, though, back at the line of scrimmage.
And Brad, with Jeremy Lesure, number 20 on the bench, I wonder how long it would be before Iowa went after Leon Hall. He's only a freshman out of Vista, California. That time Chandler took advantage of him, but it looks like it's going to come back.
That wipes out a 42-yard pass play.
I think it was a lineman downfield.
And Kirk Ferentz personally deals with the offensive line, so somebody will hear about that one.
Well, I think it might have been Robert Gallery, number 78. He was a former tight end. And when the receiver caught that pass, Gallery looked like he was only about 10 yards behind him.
It's the guy that Swanee talked about with his gallery of fans before the game. The big left tackle. 6'7", 320 pounds. 1st and 15. They almost try the same look, but this time they come to Russell out in the flat, and he's going down right at the line of scrimmage. Maybe a half yard out of that.
You never know when a penalty is going to cost you a big play. Like an offensive lineman just inadvertently goes downfield. Maybe he thought it was another play. I don't know why he crossed the line of scrimmage. But you never know when a big play is going to come. And that play hurt. That was a 40, 50-yard completion that we could have gotten Iowa to midfield.
Yeah, 42-yard pickup that becomes basically a 47-yard penalty. And now when they're trying to get a touchdown to make this game closer, they find themselves closer to their own end zone than Michigan's. Chandler from the shotgun for the first time today. Now zips it down the sideline, and Calvin Davis got it, and he got a lick laid on him by Marlon Jackson, but he held on. Whoa, what a wicked shot. We told you this one wasn't going to be for the faint of heart, and it's not.
This is a double zone. Number 29, that's Hall, just jams him. Now the safety has to be the responsibility for him. Now Jackson's going to come out of it right there.
That's going to leave a mark. And he got right up, and he held on after that collision. First down at the 43. Chandler on a bootleg, going to keep it. And actually got about 5, 4 or 5.
Nobody downfield was open. Just get what you can out of it, and line up and play again.
Even 3 points before halftime they'd take. They'd love to have 7, but remember they got a weapon in Kading, their kicker. So they're not more than another first down or so away from giving him a shot, at least, with 3:08 remaining, and they have 2 of their timeouts left.
And Bob, I'm going to expect that Michigan might play a little more zone with that freshman in there, trying to give him some help from behind, not leave him out in the island.
I think you're right.
Davis and Ochoa, the wideouts, both up to the left side. Chandler wants to throw the other way and has to throw it away. He's trying to go to his tight end, Eric Jensen. At least he was the intended receiver. Coming up on the Valvoline halftime show, John Saunders, Terry Biden, and Craig James will have scores and highlights from around the country. Stick around. The guys will bring you all the action, not just from the Big Ten, but every place else. Minnesota won again today over Northwestern. Wisconsin beat Penn State. Michigan State a winner over Indiana. Those were the earlier Big Ten games. So a big third down here for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Third and a long 5, and again it'll be Chandler from the gun. Michigan might bring the heat from the corners. Here they come on the blitz. Down the middle the pass goes, and it's incomplete. And the tight end Jensen's looking for a flag, and he's not going to see one.
Well, all the officials in the stands wearing yellow want a flag.
There's a lot of them wearing yellow, that is. Michigan ranked 11th on the road, trying to pay back the 19th ranked Hawkeyes for what happened at Michigan's homecoming last year. A 34-9 shellacking by Iowa. And now Michigan with the lead here in the first half, 20-10. Bradley, the punt, it's a dandy. Turns over as Breaston has to call for a fair catch down at about the 8-yard line. So Michigan with a lead and the football with 2:52 to go till halftime. John Navarre, who's had a huge first half, sets up his offense with its worst starting field position of the day. Michigan at its own 8-yard line. Perry trying to bounce it outside, does to about the 12. But out of bounds to stop the clock, 2:47 remaining in the half. Michigan, remember, used a couple of its timeouts early in the ballgame, so they have only one remaining.
You know, you mentioned that, and I think sometimes when teams take timeouts early in a quarter or in the third quarter, I think it's okay to go ahead and take a delay of game and save the timeout. There are situations when you'd rather take 5 yards and have 2nd and 10 or 3rd and 8 and not have a timeout late in the game. Those things get valuable later on.
Here's the give again to Perry. This time they're going to wrap him up at about the 15-yard line. A 2-yard pickup. Matt Roth wasn't going to let him go. And that brings up third down. We asked you the Aflac trivia question a few minutes ago. Which opponent does Iowa have the most homecoming wins against?
Well, they got to have a Big Ten team first of all, right?
I think it's. I'm going to guess Purdue just because I think the guys in the.
I know. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, Swanee.
Well, yeah. If it's a Big Ten team, I'm thinking it's Indiana.
All right, we'll give you the answer after this third down play. Third down. Firing and broken up. Nice play defensively by Antoine Allen. So that's going to bring up a punting situation, and Michigan didn't take much time off that clock that we talked about. Remember, Perry ran out of bounds on the first snap, so Iowa's going to have decent field position, you would expect, with about 2 minutes to go.
And Michigan's punt unit comes back on.
And remember, that's scary at times. But so far today, Bradley on that last one handled it well, but they put that 3-man wall in front of him.
That's new this week.
That's new, so they're going to do that again. There it is.
Right here.
Last time, Greenberg, remember, tried to cartwheel over it, and he got...
Look at the big splits up here, too.
He got upended. Let's see if they can get a rush on him. And this time he gets away. A nice punt. Ochoa's got a backpedal to the 39. Ochoa past the first way. Ochoa down the sideline. Still on his feet. Out of bounds inside the 20.
We told you that these teams have great special teams. Iowa in particular, the return game and their kickers.
46-yard punt, but it goes 43 the other way.
Sets up the block on Beal, gets around the corner, makes one guy miss right there.
And then a personal foul at the end of it. Flag was down. This will walk it into a 1st and goal territory.
The foul wasn't the little push out of bounds, was it?
After the play was over, personal foul on the kicking team. After distance to the goal, first down.
Let's take a look at the end of this play. He beats that tackle.
That was Bradley, the punter, trying to make it.
No, you can't call that.
Unless it was after that.
Unless it was after that.
And
maybe.
Boy, you got to be able to shove him out of bounds.
You got to be able to push him out of bounds. Now, if that was the call, that's That's not a proper call.
Unless it was away from the return and we didn't see it. First and goal Iowa at the Michigan 9. Chandler slip screen. Ochoa makes a tough catch behind him, and he gets inside the 5. Down to the 4.
See, that's tough when the quarterback, especially when you're that big, 6'7", turns your shoulders away from the receiver, take 3 steps and try to throw it back and get good timing. You got to backpedal on that if you're going to do that. He did. He made an outstanding catch. He's lucky he didn't pop the ball up in the air and get it picked off.
Second down and goal. 2 tight ends set at the Michigan 4. Iowa trying to close the gap here before halftime. Option. Chandler hit. Bad pitch. Russell brought it down, but he's going down for a loss. Loss of 2.
Yeah, that stuff was good last year with Brad Banks. The guy this big that doesn't run the option, you got to pitch it quick. It's way behind him. A quarterback in that situation, you're going to surprise him, probably. So get him the ball quicker. And, you don't want to run the ball. Get it out to your guy. Let him get speed, stretch it, and then maybe cut up. But when you hold the ball, you're just keeping it away from your best running back.
Third and goal now. Haven't allowed a passing touchdown yet. McCullum and Ochoa, both wideouts to the left. They want to come back to the right. They do. It's a touchdown. Calvin Davis. An extra point away from being a field goal game here late in the second quarter. On third and goal at the 6-yard line, Chandler pumped once, bought himself a little time, and then shot it to Davis for the score. Kading to try to make it 20-17. And it's partially blocked, but he got it through. Somebody got a hand on it. He had enough juice on it to pick up point number 17.
Take a look over here. He just going to run a slant into the back of the end zone. He looked like he wanted to throw the ball to the back out in the flat initially.
And right there, Davis came wide open.
Yeah, nice play. Chandler kind of pumped it and looked out to the flat, froze the defenders, and got it to Davis in the end zone.
20-17, 19 seconds remaining. We almost forgot to give you the answer to the Aflac trivia question. Which opponents Iowa have the most? And Lynn Swann is correct. Indiana. 9 victories over the Hoosiers. And suddenly, there's a tie for the top spot.
Yeah, I'm moving up fast on you, Brad.
Yeah, but I can change anything.
That's the man that's got the telestrator. As Hank Stram used to say, who's got the chalk? Grease has the chalk.
Who's got the chalk last?
That's right.
Yeah. I draw up a play on the board, and the guy come by with the defense to stop it. Well, give me the last time on the board, and I'll draw up something to beat any defense.
Kading to kick. Last one he kicked about 8 rows into the stands. The wind blows this one off the tee, so he'll redo. Boy, good football game. Hard hitting, no turnovers, 20-17, yep. Perfect weather. Big Ten, not bad, huh?
Defense, physical, and some passing.
Nate gets his leg into this one higher, but still 2 yards deep. Breaston decides he'll return it. Breaston hit at the 20 and then swarmed under at about the 22. Boy, he paid for that return. Our Pacific Life game summary as we take a look at what's happened that we just mentioned. Chris Perry from 5 yards out, Michigan's first touchdown. Then Navarre went to the air, found Braylon Edwards to make it 14-0. But Chandler came back on a bootleg, kept it himself, and then dives to the pylon to put Iowa in the ball game at 14-7. Then to Davis just moments ago. That with the field goals mixed in, and it is 20-17 Michigan in a heck of a first half that has only 12 seconds left.
Sprinkle in some field goals throughout that.
And Michigan will take a knee here to go to the locker room. The pink Iowa locker room, I might add. Lloyd Carr's team, and he still didn't like a couple of the officials' calls in the first half, and he's letting them know it. So Michigan on the road trying to pay back Iowa for what happened at their homecoming last year. They had a lead, but it's only 3 now, 20-17. We'll be joining John Terry and Craig at Times Square Stadium in New York for the Valvoline Halftime Show right after this. You're watching ABC Sports Championship Television.
The Valvoline Halftime Show, brought to you by Valvoline's Max Life, who reminds you at 75,000 miles, it's time to switch to Max Life. From Times Square in New York, John Saunders, Terry Bowden, and Craig James.
And welcome back to New York. There's the ESPN Zone, where many college football fans will gather, hopefully to watch us as we talk about what's going on in the day. Earlier today, we talked about the Michigan Wolverines. With one loss, did they still have a chance to play for the national championship? Did they lose early enough? I think we all agree, run the table, and they do have a shot. Chris Perry has to run the football. 5 yards here for a touchdown, 7-0, and John Navarre has to throw the football.
Well, they said he couldn't play on the road. He was 1-5 on the road. Look here today, over 200 yards passing in the first half.
Yeah, you were one of those guys, too, saying we had to find out if he could play on the road, and he's definitely answered that call.
This one's not over yet, though, I promise you.
You see the score is 20-17. You see the numbers on John Navarre. Now, at the start of the year, we all like to make our predictions as to who we think will play in the national championship game this year, the Nokia Sugar Bowl. At the start of the year, let's take a look at your picks, and let's see if perhaps you're going to stay with them. Or are you dancing there, by the way?
I'm trying to catch a pass from you. Oklahoma, obviously, still number one. And Michigan, although they've got a loss, it was early. They've got to win this tough Iowa game. Then I think it's going to come down to beating Ohio State in the final game.
Well, you know, with John Navarre playing like he is right now and them catching the football, this is a big game, big opportunity for them. Obviously, they need to win.
You said the problem last week was they heard what you said. Later on, we will have Craig's pick and some other guys' picks as well, who changed on everything. Kansas State against Texas. Texas has that early season loss to Arkansas. L. Roberson back. Is he healthy? The option to Sproles, stop for a 2-yard loss. Then here, the punter in the end zone. It's blocked by Huff, recovered by Tony Jeffrey. Texas is on the board first. Chance Mock has also thrown a touchdown pass, 17-3.
It's the defense at Texas that's playing today. Sure, Mock has some numbers, but Texas' defense is dominating this game.
You're exactly right. And Texas still is not running like they need to with big plays on defense, the block punt. This Texas team's trying to prove that they're ready for Oklahoma next week.
And they may have heard that you said you thought they may have been soft.
I didn't say that. I quoted somebody else.
You did.
Mac Brown, I didn't say it.
Yeah.
Kirk Bowles.
It's always easy to blame somebody else. Always have somebody else to blame. Alabama against Georgia in Alabama. Uga says this thing's going to be ugly, and that's what it was early. Bo Freeland gets blocked. Jarrett Berry picks it up. It's returned by Thomas Davis, 6 yards, in for the touchdown, 16-3. And then DJ Shockley goes 9 yards to Jamario Smith for a 23-3 lead. Alabama's getting it handed to them.
Well, they've lost all their confidence. This is their 4th loss. They have 3 close losses. And then Georgia, you talk about Mark Richt and the offense. Their defense is second in the nation in scoring defense.
And you know what? Now, Alabama has had this roller coaster emotional ride going on this season. They're bound to run out of gas before it's over with. You know, Shula's got a tough assignment there.
Well, a lot of people were questioning whether or not this was too early for him to get a head coaching job like this. Do you think he's over his head?
Well, I don't think he's over his head. I think he just he's realizing now just how difficult it's going to be because it's not an easy task with the probation status, some of the things that they're dealing with right now away from the field. He got in there late, too. I mean, you got to let the guy have a little slack.
And he's the 4th coach in the last 2 years. They cannot afford to go. They're stuck with him because they're on probation. He's the guy. Well, I mean, he's good enough. They can't make a move. You've been through about 4 different coaches. He's your guy.
There's a reason why Coach Francione got out of town. There's a reason. Nebraska against Troy State. Troy State, remember, had a good week last week against Marshall. And Aaron Aleek fumbles after being hit. Van Hansen recovers the fumble. Not a touchdown, but it leads to one. 4 plays later, Jamal Lord gets it in, and that's what Jamal Lord can do. 7 of 12 for just 135 yards passing, but 14 carries for 72 yards as Nebraska gets the win there. USC against Arizona State. USC, boy, that loss to Cal, so costly. Matt Leinart here, 57 yards to Kerry Colbert. and a 7-0 lead. But Arizona State, who's had some problems scoring this year, they get it going. Andrew Walker, 12 yards to Skylar Fulton.
Well, Arizona State is running the ball well and passing the well, and USC's lucky to be in this game with 3 turnovers.
And you know what? Andrew Walter's one of those guys. The longer the game goes on, the hotter he gets. He's a challenge, man. Last year he did the same thing. All of a sudden he starts throwing for 450 yards a game.
And we talked about the Pac-10, what that might do to them having a shot at the national championship. So here are Craig James' picks for the national championship. Oklahoma and USC. USC lost last week.
You know what, though? Trying to predict who's going to play in a national championship game is like playing marbles. You know what? Throw them up in the air and each week change and go somebody else. Now, big fella, how about yourself? I had to get rid of one.
Yeah, I actually had to bring out the X twice.
You look like Prophet Ty. Look, that's Prophet Ty.
I'm number 1 is what I'm saying. Oklahoma and Florida State. And this, of course, is subject to change at any point during the season. This is the Valvoline Halftime Show. Welcome back to Times Square on the Valvoline Halftime Show. John Saunders, Terry Bowden, and Craig James. Time now for our No Huddle highlights. Let's get right to it. The team that has yet to lose this year, Virginia Tech against Rutgers. Kevin Jones, big reason why. 5-yard run there. He had 250 all-purpose yards for Brian Randall. Meanwhile, Minnesota and Northwestern, just say this name, Assad Abdul Khalid. That's all you need to know.
4 years ago, he couldn't hit the side of a barn, and now he may be the best quarterback in Minnesota history.
Yeah, they got Michigan and Michigan State coming up, though. They'll have a couple of football games finally before the season's over.
First 6-0 start, though, since 1960 for Minnesota. Ole Miss against Florida. Remember, Ole Miss got them last year, but that was at home. How about this time? Ron McClendon goes 52 yards on this run.
And they run for over 200 yards on the ground against Florida's defense. Whatever happens to the rush defense at Florida?
In Florida, you play a freshman quarterback, you're winning in the second half, and you still throw 3 interceptions in the second half.
Vashawn Pearson takes this one in. Remember Peyton Manning couldn't beat Florida 0-3? Well, his brother's done pretty nicely. 2-0 the last couple of years. Indiana against Michigan State. And Jeff Smoker was smoking. 31 yards going to Jaron Hayes here and a 14-0 lead.
And you know what? Michigan State's one of those quiet teams around the country just kind of doing their job. John L. Smith doing a heck of a job getting this team ready to play.
And Jeff Smoker's got to be the comeback player of the year after the tough time he had last season.
Wisconsin against Penn State. Coaches Paterno and Alvarez talking before the game. They certainly weren't talking about this one. Jim Leonard returns his punt 65 yards. And Penn State has now lost 8 of 9 games by 7 points or less.
And look at the blue jerseys. They just don't have the speed. The talent level has really dropped off at Penn State.
The good thing about Michael Robinson coming back as quarterback, though.
NC State and Georgia Tech, Reggie Ball. He's going to wind up on his back, but Jonathan Smith hauls it in wide open for a touchdown. Georgia Tech on top 7-3. And then Phillip Rivers gets sacked here. Rivers actually had some pretty good numbers. He's still averaging 75% on his passes and about 350 yards, but his team is just 3-3. So what does that do to his Heisman chances?
Well, he was my number 1 going in, but when Reggie Ball has as good a day on the same field and leads his team to victory, I think it makes it tough. I'm still going with John Navarre and the way he's playing today at Michigan.
This is a year where there's no real clear-cut favorite. Because of that, I think it's a perfect case right now for a wide receiver, Larry Fitzgerald at Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh has a guy that can win the Heisman Trophy.
Or a guy like Walter Ray's at Syracuse. We've never heard of him, but we haven't heard of him. But he's leading the nation in scoring this way. It'll decide it in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
And what it might come down to is the team that leads his team undefeated into the national championship. That quarterback or that running back would be your guy. This is the Valvoline Halftime Show. We'll continue with more in a moment.
This could be for a national championship. It's up. Missed it to the right. Bobby Bowden wonders why Lord B. Goes over the middle. Touchdown Hurricanes. The Canes take the lead. For the win. The kick on the way. He missed it. Wide left.
That's next Saturday, noon Eastern, 9 o'clock Pacific time. Now, we've talked about one-loss teams still having a shot at the national championship, but because this game comes in the middle of the season, the loser of this game is going to be knocked out. And boy, Miami was almost knocked out by West Virginia.
And because of that, I really expect for them to show up emotionally and be charged up in practice. They're going to be ready to play football. Miami's being questioned right now. We're walking on the field, walking off the field, talking on cell phones on the sideline. I guarantee you Larry Coker and those guys will be all over Miami. And this is an emotional football game. We know that. Your dad's had 2 weeks to prepare for Miami. That isn't good.
Well, Chris Ricks is the key for Florida State. Will he make good decisions in critical situations? Their defense #1 in scoring. Their running backs are great. Their receivers catch the ball. But will he throw it away when everybody's covered? Will he get on the ground instead of trying to run over the linebackers? Or will he park in an outpatient parking lot the day after being in every newspaper for parking in a handicap parking space?
In the hospital.
You should not. Don't drive your car. Just walk there, Chris Ricks. You won't have to worry about parking. It's all part of Separation Saturday next week at 3:30 Eastern Time. The second part of the doubleheader, Oklahoma and Texas. Doesn't get better than that in the Red River Shootout. Penn State against Purdue. That's in the Big Ten. Or Oregon. Boy, do they need a win as they take on Arizona State. Check local listings for the game that is available in your area. College football continues on ABC after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
This Heisman memory is presented by Suzuki. Last year, USC's Carson Palmer became the first West Coast player to win the Heisman Trophy since the Trojans' own Marcus Allen won it in 1981. Palmer dominated during his senior year, setting a single-season record with over 3,600 passing yards and 32 passing TDs. Palmer led the Trojans to a 10-2 mark and dominated in a victory over Iowa at the Orange Bowl.
Hayden Fry honored here at halftime at Kinnick Stadium, a place where he won 143 games of winning as coach in Iowa history, and a big standing ovation for Hayden. And Bo Schembechler was part of the festivities, and Hayden going into the College Football Hall of Fame, a much-deserved honor, and that'll happen a little bit later on this year. We welcome you back to Iowa City on a perfect day. Brad Nessler and Bob Greasy, Lynn Swann down on the field. And partner, we thought it'd be physical. I don't know if I thought there'd be this many points. This is a good football game.
Well, what has happened is the defenses have taken over the running game and stopped the running game, and now any points are either going to have to be on returns on special teams or through the passing game. Michigan has thrown for over 220 yards, and Ochoa there at the end gave Iowa a great field position to get the touchdown.
And they did get the touchdown on the pass to Davis. Chandler did a nice job, but so far Navarro has been the offensive star.
He has, and I think he's going to have to continue to be.
All right, let's head down to Lynn Swann. Swanee.
Well, Brad, when I talked to Lloyd Carr when he came back on the field, he was visibly upset about the special teams. He said it's a physical football game. The offense is playing great. He feels like his defense has shut down the Iowa run. The offense is going to throw the ball. They've got people open, but he's livid about the special teams, so he wants his punt coverage team to do much better. On the other side, Farron says he likes the way his team is playing. They're just going to try and have to put the ball in the air a little bit more, both deep and short. Both teams obviously understand running is not going to be the ticket to a win here.
All right, Swanee. The other thing Lloyd Carr's obviously livid about, he's still giving the officials an earful to start the third quarter. And here a yard deep is Breston off Kading's kick. And Breston got peppered as he got to about the 14-yard line. Our Pacific Life game summary. Statistically, through 2 quarters, here's how it looks. Look at that time of possession. Can you get any closer than that?
No, you can't. And, you know, basically, Michigan with 224 yards passing. 3 and outs are about the same. Third down conversions, about the average start, just about evened up. It was big in favor of Michigan early in the ball game.
Stats as tight as a score, 20-17. Here's a first snap for Perry in the third quarter, and Chris gets about 4 out to the 29. Michigan, offensive leaders in the first half, and as Bob talked about, Navarre with 224 yards already. It's been tough sledding for Perry. He's had to earn it all.
16 yards only.
Well, look at Avant's numbers.
Yeah, well,
71 came on 1 play.
Navarre's completed 12 passes. 11 of them have been to wide receivers, and that is the area that have the big players for Michigan. They got big plays, exciting players out there, and they're going to continue to get the ball to those guys. That guy?
Dawkins, the injured defensive back for Iowa. And Ed Crawley working on his lower left leg there. So on the opening couple of plays of the third quarter, we have injury on the Iowa side. Let's see if we can see it here. Perry with the cutback.
I think Dawkins may have hurt himself without even getting hit.
Yeah.
Number 3 on the outside there. Ed Crawley, the trainer there helping him up, has been at Iowa for 20-25 years.
Old buddy of yours.
Yeah, went to school at Purdue together. He's on the football team over there. It's good sportsmanship there.
Yeah, it sure is. That's nice to see, isn't it? And
Bob, I heard that Ed was your roommate, and he's got a whole bunch of pictures that he won't show anyone.
No, I have a whole bunch of pictures of him that I won't show anyone.
it might not be the pictures, it might be the negatives you want to get rid of. Ejiazi has come in to take Dawkins' spot defensively for Iowa. So 2nd down and 6. 4-3 wide receiver grouping for Navarre. And that's Breaston in motion. So everybody's to the left. Navarre's looking that way, but comes across the middle to Breaston, and he dropped it. Incomplete. And they want to get him in that slot situation where they can get him behind the linebackers and in front of everybody else, because in the open field he's pretty scary.
How does Michigan get all of these wide receivers that can run, that are good and can run? They got big play, Breaston and Edwards. On the other side, they've got Avant, number 8. They've got this young kid, Tab, a redshirt freshman. But they've always had excellent wide receivers.
3rd down and 6. Navarre's only hit 1 of his last 6. Edwards in motion this time. Navarre wants to come this way, does to Breaston, and he's planted. What a nice open field hit by Antoine Allen.
That's the game plan that Norm Parker, the defensive coordinator, wanted for this defense.
Let him catch it.
Come up and hit him.
And then hit him.
Yeah.
So it's a punting situation already for Michigan in the opening 16 seconds of the quarter. And they've got Rivas in there now to punt. There's Norm Parker. And the fake is on. Now the quick kick. So Rivas boots it down. It's going to aimlessly go dead at the 28-yard line.
Bo Schembechler may have had a heart attack when he's seen the punter from beyond his 30-yard line running.
Bo's only about 2 booths down, or was in the first half. I'm trying to see him over there. And here you get another look. They moved that front wall.
They moved the wall over to the right and just punted over there because they wanted to kick the ball over that way.
And then you noticed that Greenway, just to let the punter know he was there, gave him a little shot in the chest. Iowa comes back out on offense, and in the first half, their offensive leaders. Chandler fairly efficient.
No interceptions, no turnovers so far, only 17 rushing yards for Russell.
Michigan's defense doing to the Iowa ground game what Iowa did to Michigan's a year ago, at least so far through a couple of quarters. They're working on the clock right now, I think, is why things have slowed to a halt here. Kinnick Stadium, you can't get in this place today, that's for sure. It is sold out, and the hottest ticket in the area, obviously.
Bob and Brad, just an update with Hall back out there at the left corner. LeSueur is doubtful for coming back into the ball game. I was talking to their athletic trainer, and he indicated it was a shoulder, and it's doubtful that he would return to this ball game.
All right, Swanee. So that leaves them a little thinner, and Larry Stevens has played. There's LeSueur, you see, as Swanee said, he doesn't have the pads on anymore, so he's done for the day. And Larry Stevens was banged up in the first half, their senior defensive end. And while Woodley, who's made a couple plays, the freshman behind him, he's not quite the leader that Stevens is at this point. So Michigan's had some guys banged around and lost some. Obviously, number 21's a big one.
Well, that's what we said coming in. It would be a physical game. These Big Ten games always are.
Stevens is out there, the man I mentioned, the defensive end, and Steve Newman still trying to straighten everything out here with the clock problem.
The scoreboard is currently inoperable. The time will be kept on the field. There's 13 minutes and 15 seconds left in the quarter.
Yeah, that would make more sense when you consider they had a kick return to open up the quarter, and then they ran 3 plays. I kind of thought 16 seconds sounded a little weak there. I guess I should have figured that one out myself.
A little slow. That doesn't affect the game so much as the 25-second clock. That would affect the players on the field.
Exactly. Third quarter has been Iowa's this season. We showed you the 46-0 Michigan advantage in the first quarter of games this year. And it's so important when you get that opening drive of the third quarter. If you get something out of it, a lot of times things are going to happen good for you. Michigan, they had to give it up after 3 plays. Now Iowa's only down a field goal here, and they get the ball back in decent shape at its own 29-yard line.
A lot of that is adjustments, coaching adjustments coming out in the third quarter, Brad. And you'll see it in the third quarter, usually in the first drive or the second drive.
Chandler pump fakes, wanted to stop and go, and now trying to go to Ochoa. Can he get there? It's interference. Oh, no flag. Excuse me. Shazar, I thought, grabbed him by the shoulder pad. I guess not.
One of the things Iowa had on their plate coming in offensively against an aggressive defensive secondary was some stop and goes. They tried one earlier in the game. It didn't work. They tried it here. It didn't work.
And this wasn't pass interference, huh? Maybe not.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Maybe just stepped in front of him.
Didn't see it.
Yeah. So good, no call. Second and 10 at the 29. Russell trying to hide behind his lineman, and there's no place to hide. Carl Diggs, another nice stop. And Fred Russell's got 16 yards on 10 carries.
We asked Lloyd Carr earlier in the week about after 5 games, what's been one of the biggest surprises, and he said the defense. He says it's so fast and so quick. I didn't realize they were that quick, and not necessarily the defensive backs, but the linebackers and the defensive lines, the Larry Stevens, the Masses, the Kashimas, those guys are quick.
See the clock back working now at the 12.5-minute mark, and a 3rd down and 11 Iowa. And now Chandler stands up, has a look, and going to call a timeout. So we'll take one along with Nathan and the Hawkeyes trailing Michigan 20-17. Brad Nessler, Bob Greasy, Lynn Swann, and our ABC gang in Iowa City, where the Hawkeyes have a 3rd and 11 following that timeout.
4th time they've been 3rd and 10 or longer.
McCullum joining Davis and Ochoa as the wide receivers. Michigan showed blitz. They backed out of it. Chandler over the middle. David, oh, man, just another of the many hits. This one's Marlon Jackson again. That's the 2nd time he's put the wood to somebody.
We've seen some good free safeties already this year. Swigert last week at Purdue. Marlon Jackson is one of the best in the country.
So now it's punting time for Iowa. 5th 3 and out for the Hawkeyes. Bradley to kick. Hung it up high. Breston waiting on it. Got a shot from the 25. Almost went down and tried to weave his way through, and Iowa's done a nice job bottling him up today. Did get about 10 on the return, though, as we head to Times Square Stadium in New York. And John.
And the Taco Bell update. You want to see a terrific run. L. Roberson back to pass. No one's open. Steps up in the pocket. All right, block for me. Now he's in all kinds of trouble. Nowhere to go, but nothing but burnt orange on the ground. And L. Roberson takes it in for the touchdown. And a terrific run. Now just a 7-point game.
He's been resting for a couple weeks.
Yes, he has. Got fresh legs. Yep. Here it's 20-17 Michigan. Wolverines have it back. Their own 35. The toss sweep to Perry. Perry blasts forward to the 40. Tough run. Matt Roth hit him first, and then Abdul Hodge got over there to help. So now it's 70 yards for Chris Perry. We said he's earning them, but he keeps piling them up.
Well, as we mentioned, that Michigan offensive line, something special. Probably the best in the Big Ten. Maybe we could stack them up against probably be in the top 5 or 10 in the country.
Perry's on pace right now for about a 1,500-yard year. He's over 750 here in Game 6 of the season. He'll get the call again. About 2 or 3 short of the first down. He'll bring up a 3rd and short. Babineau, the junior out of Port Arthur, Texas, made the stop. Reminder, at the conclusion of our game today, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. 3rd down and a long 2 for Michigan. The crowd at Kinnick Stadium comes to life for the Hawkeyes defense. Here's that pitch play again to Perry, trying to get to the sticks, and I think he got there. Yes, he did. 1st down, Wolverines, and they're still unpiling over there.
Such a tough play for the defense. When the quarterback turns around, he fakes this way, and then the back steps that way, and he goes this way, and he pitches him the ball. This is the guy that it's a key buster for.
That's Roth.
Roth right here. Look at Roth. Now he's got to chase him to the sideline. He got him all the way in there. Now you got to let him go.
And Roth's fast, but he's a lineman, not a running back. 1st down for Perry. Just shaded inside their own 48. Nice play fake by Navarre. Pressure coming. And fumble! I think Michigan got back on top of it. Tony Pape, the big tackle, smothered it. That would have been our first turnover of the ball game. And that time Roth, the guy that got suckered on the pitch play, got the pressure.
A little switch though on the right side. Roth, number 31, comes right up the gut. He and the defensive tackle had switched. Roth knocks it loose, and Michigan gets back on it.
Here's another look as Roth ripping at that arm. The ball pops out, and Pape covered it. Tony, all 315 pounds of him.
But flatten the ball.
Yeah. Not 13 PSI anymore. 2nd and 17, though. Here come the Hawkeyes on a blitz. Navarre throws. Almost intercepted. Braylon Edwards didn't look up. And Bob Sanders would have had a touchdown. And he knows it. Oh, boy.
What he was doing, he had a blitz situation. The linebackers were coming. Linebackers were coming from the outside right here and here. That's a blitz situation. You got to run an adjustment. Navarre sees it. He's throwing a different route, expecting the receiver to run a different route. The receivers didn't run on the same page.
And Captain Bob said, oh my goodness, I had 40 yards in front of me. 3rd and 17. Navarre loads it, going deep for Avant, and he almost made the adjustment in the catch, but this time Antoine Allen stayed with him. And it's punting time for Michigan.
Lloyd's talking to him and said, don't try to do too much. When you're in the pocket and the defensive man has his hands on you, put the ball away. They were lucky to get that fumble back.
Garrett Rivas is in again. That's Ochoa. And remember, he took 143 yards in the first half. Again, they tried a quick kick, and it's partially blocked.
Yep.
It still is going to roll down inside the 25, though. Matt Malloy, I think, got a hand on that one, didn't he?
Yeah, the 3rd block punt in the last 3 weeks for Michigan.
It wasn't a catastrophe, though. As Rivas kicked it, Malloy got a piece. Iowa on offense when we come back. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Chevy Silverado. It's the right truck. Taco Bell, think outside the bun. And Pacific Life, offering insurance, annuities, and investments. Somebody getting ready to go fishing on the Iowa River. Beautiful day in October. Beautiful day at Kinnick Stadium at a good football game, 20-17, as Iowa takes over. I don't like this play, Bob.
Look how wide the splits are.
And then that quick kick partially blocked. I don't like that play either. It takes too long for a big quarterback to bootleg like that.
When that end comes free, unabated. Let's go back. Look how wide the splits are. These splits right here, the the linemen up here at the top. You got all the defensive guys are lining up in between them. Now when it starts, hold on a second. The whole line's going to go this way, and these 3 big guys go to the right. Watch it. The line goes to the left, and the big guys go to the right. And there's a free guy in there. I just don't understand that. I'm sure that's not what the Michigan coaches wanted.
Russell trying to cut it outside, and he's brought down at the line of scrimmage again. Fred got nothing on the play. So it's going to bring up 2nd down and 10. Beg your pardon, 3rd and 10. So Chandler will have a passing situation from his own 22.
Partner, the defenses have taken over this game.
They sure have. We talked about it at halftime. We didn't expect this many points, and all of a sudden, boom.
Lots of blitzes on the outside here. Here they come.
Chandler got rid of it. Wide open Cervantes, and he couldn't pull the string on it enough for his fullback.
You can't miss those.
Boy, he stood tall in there and was ready to take that blitz on, but he overshot his intended receiver, and Iowa's got to give it up again.
You know, the first quality of a quarterback is you have to make plays when it's there. Now, that wasn't a design thing. That was something they do on the run.
Bradley to punt. And again, Breston, they have not shaken him loose today. He'll try one here. Got about 5 and then got swarmed under again. Let's check in with John Saunders in New York. John?
Arizona State has scored the last couple of touchdowns in this game, but USC comes right back. 25-yard run here by Lendale White ties the game as USC is trying to bounce back from that loss last week to Cal. One in the Big Ten, Purdue putting the lights out on Illinois, 27-3 with about a minute to go in the first half.
Oh, Purdue with a big lead on Illinois. Here it's 20-17 Michigan. They've got it back on offense again. Navarre, first down throw, and it's complete, but a short gain to Breston. Only got about 2 yards. Tony Dungy's got his Indianapolis Colts 4-0, riding high. Now he returns back to Tampa Bay, and he'll take on his former team, the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. Monday Night Football at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC. And Peyton Manning coming off an unbelievable week at New Orleans. And Warren Sapp, the #1 defense. That'll be a clash and a half.
Pretty good matchup. I'll tell you what. You give me one choice of the quarterbacks in the league, and I'd take Peyton hands down.
2nd down and 8 here. Navarre, a straight drop and fires to Edwards. In and out, and it's intercepted by Anquan Allen. Allen down the sideline and inside the 30. First turnover of the ball game. Looked like it was thrown a little behind Edwards, and it ricocheted off him, and Allen did the rest.
Well, take a look from behind. Allen is one of the smallest cornerbacks in the Big Ten. Only 173 pounds. Looks to the left. Well, you got to catch that ball. A little behind you, but you got to catch it. Picks it off, and a convoy.
And back to the 28. That's where Iowa sets up, trailing by 3. Russell hasn't been able to get loose all day. Got to the sideline, out of bounds at about the 24. John Navarre threw the pick, and that wasn't the only part of the play.
Well, everybody looks for the quarterback on defense now. When they pick off, everybody looks for the quarterback.
Chad Greenway giving him the what for?
Yeah, he's the linebacker. Yeah, that's the way it happens. Quarterbacks know it. If you throw a pick, everybody comes looking for you.
The 6th interception of the season, the first turnover of this ball game. Will it be costly, or can Michigan's defense stop Iowa down close to the red zone? 2nd down and 5. Jensen, the tight end, in motion. Chandler play action and fires, and too far in front of his intended receiver, the other tight end. Follett couldn't make the catch, and it's 3rd and 5. So you know already that they're well in Kading's field goal range to try to tie the game, but they certainly, after that interception, try to get 7.
Yeah, but you don't want to get this great field position after a turnover and have to settle for a field goal.
There's Nate waiting if called upon. Right now to be about a 41-yard kick. Michigan showing blitz again. McCollum on the end around. Nope, it's Russell off tackle, and Fred Russell's free this time. First down. First time the little guy's been able to spring it. And Iowa still got a chance for a touchdown drive here.
He's running to the left behind Gallery. His big All-American left tackle number 78 gets a nice block. This kid is so quick. He changes directions and he can run right through a tackle before the tackler knows what's happening.
Longest run of the day, 11 yards. First down Iowa at the Michigan 13-yard line. Only one wide out. This is Russell left side again. Russell inside the 5. Close. First and goal. He's running behind that big guy, and that big guy that we talked about loves to block for number 2.
Makes the blocking a lot easier because he's got that burst that if he sees that gap, he's going to hit it, and you don't have to hold your blocks as long, and he does a great job of reading. You never know where he's going to go. He sees the field well, and it's just fun to block for him, to see him burst through and and then run away from people.
Back-to-back 11-yard runs behind the big hoss. And it's first and goal Iowa, trying to take the lead in homecoming against Michigan. Just inside the 2. Russell again, dragged down. Nice tackle by McClintock. He knifed through there and dropped him for a loss.
But not good when the quarterback and the back collide in the backfield.
6th time they've lost yardage on a running play. There you see the difference in size between little Fred and the rest of the group.
And if you're ever going to throw the ball, that was the down to throw it on first down. First and goal from the 2-yard line or the 1. You run a pass play, a play action pass down there, you're going to score for sure.
Second and goal. Iowa at the Michigan 3. Play action, Chandler's in trouble. Broke one tackle and now slips down for a loss back to the 8.
You just did it backwards. You throw on first down, you run on second down. When you split out, you show pass and run. You don't show pass and pass on the 2-yard line.
Now they're backed up to almost the 8. This is Fred Russell a couple of plays ago. Wow. That might have been a touchdown.
I didn't see him out of bounds. I didn't see him step out of bounds.
At any rate, instead of that, it's this. Third and goal, Iowa at the 8. Chandler, the fade, incomplete. And nowhere near Scott Chandler, his intended receiver.
It's his brother. His brother broke to the inside. Nathan Chandler, the quarterback, threw it to the outside. And Bob had a very good series there.
And he threw it too high. Had he thrown that ball lower and it been a catchable pass, I believe the official would have called pass interference. But it was not a catchable pass by Scott.
So that brings in automatic. Nate Kading, 6 for 6 on the season. He's hit 1 today already. This one could tie it up for the Hawkeyes. High snap, handled, kick, perfect. So Iowa had it first and goal. Their fans are unhappy. Still, it's homecoming. Everybody be happy. We're tied at 20. Hawkeyes have tied it up on a field goal following the interception by Antoine Allen. 20-20.
Fans aren't happy about that last series, but like you say, partner, hey, it's homecoming and you've tied Michigan and you're in the 3rd quarter and you've got the momentum.
That's right. And now Michigan's going to have to work from its own 20 again. So the field position is swung in Iowa's favor. Chevrolet drive summary, that last one, a couple of Fred Russell runs that were decent. He got 11 yards, 2 different occasions on the scoring drive, 20 yards. At the 20, 3 wideouts, crowd getting noisy. Navarre's had a big game, but the third quarter has collapsed on him a little bit. Wants to throw a screen pass and does. The tight end only got back to the line of scrimmage. Massaquoi buried under Matt Roth and company.
Hodges and Kloss and Babineau and Roth, all those defensive linemen recognizing the screen and getting back in it and helping out. Kloss is one of your better defensive tackles in the Big Ten, never gets any credit, but keeps the offensive linemen off of the linebackers. Hodge and Greenway are in the top 5 in the conference in tackles. In fact, Greenway leads the conference in tackles.
Navarre to throw, fires short to Perry, and Perry out to about the 27, almost the 28-yard line. But of the 4 completions Navarre has in this half after the 220 plus in the first half, they've gone for 4, 2, no gain, and 7 yards right there. That's the longest completion he's had in the third quarter.
And the one that should have been completed to Edwards was intercepted.
Yeah. 20, 4:25 remaining third quarter. Edwards in motion across the field.
Here they come.
Navarre under a blitz, throws behind his intended receiver, Avant, and Antoine Allen was there covering again. Flag. I did not see a flag on the play, even though it says it on our screen. So let's pick it up. There's a bunch in the crowd. Maybe that's what we're talking about. All those flags. Terrible towels.
Terrible towels. Not a good throw. That single coverage just threw it over his head.
Let's watch the punt again.
Look at the splits, the line splits.
They've been close to getting blocked, and there's another one that is. Blocked again, and down they go.
I just don't understand that. Are they telling this kid to do this?
Chris Smith blocks it.
If you wanted to get a punt blocked, do what Michigan's doing. I don't understand this a bit.
It's inviting tragedy.
The entire line, I just don't understand that.
Chris Smith, the senior, with a block. What in the world is going on?
That's the 4th block. There's Smith, number 19. Those guys, the little guys like Smith, get in there. They can get around those big guys in a minute.
Iowa, chance to take the lead from the 15 of Michigan. Russell only got about a half yard. Not much there. Elaine Kashala, the outside defensive end, made the stop.
That's the 5th punt block for Michigan this year.
Bob and Brad, Chandler missed on that fade the last time we were down here. Here's where I think the coach has got to say it's still a good play for us. Coach the kids on the sideline and make them get the good release and still come back with a play that'll work for them.
Yeah, they're coming.
Just inside the 15, Chandler trying to change it up. Will Michigan back off? Will he get the play off?
No, they stayed in with it.
And the fade to the corner. Incomplete. Ochoa is the intended receiver. Leon Hall was covering. Ochoa is slow to get up. They need him. Boy, they can't lose any more receivers. I'll tell you that much.
Ochoa is allowing the defensive back to angle him to the sideline. He needs to get around the corner and go straight up the field. There's no room for the quarterback to throw it. The defensive back is running him out of bounds.
So now it's 3rd down. And again, will Iowa take advantage of the block punt?
They're going after the right guy. Hall is a true freshman. He's out there for the first time this year.
3 wideouts, McCullum, Davis, and Ochoa on a 3rd and 10. McCullum, they fake the end around. They give it to Russell, and he's cartwheeled after a short gain, maybe a yard. Carl Diggs again. And you're going to hear some boo birds I don't know if that's the sound a Hawkeye makes, but that's what's going to happen because Kading will try to come in and give them the lead. But again, the fans looking touchdown or thinking touchdown, and they're not going to get an opportunity for it.
Well, we had a graphic up earlier. Michigan coming into the game had not allowed a passing touchdown all year.
And Davis from Chandler in the first half ended that, but now it's Kading, successful twice already today. Trying a 32-yard field goal. Boy, no wonder they call them automatic. Iowa leads. They haven't till now. Homecoming might be a happy time yet. You never know. 32-yard field goal is good. Remember, this all started with the punting of Michigan, and as far as I'm concerned, it's like inviting ants to your picnic.
Let's hold it right here. Let me just look at the splits between the Michigan linemen. The splits, and Iowa's getting in the gaps on every one of them. Now the three big guys are standing in the back. Now watch when he snaps it. All of Michigan's line runs this way, and the three big guys come to the right, and the punter goes to the right. I just don't understand. They're not blocking anybody up front, and the big guys aren't blocking anybody.
And then they make Rivas do like a soccer goalie, kicking that thing out on the run. That's not too accurate either.
I know they've had trouble with their punt blocking unit. Yeah. We said that coming into today. So they went to this. And if this is supposed to be better, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you.
They've gotten two blocked here today.
Rivas might get on that bike and ride out of here if he's got to do that again. Kading now will kick. You would assume that Michigan's not going to get a return possibility because of the way he's kicked off today.
If I were Kirk Ferentz, I'd tell my defense, stop him so we can have him punt again.
Here's the kick. What a weapon to have. So Michigan will have to work from the 20 again after the touchback kick by Kading. Here is our singular wireless poll question for you. Which of next week's games will be the best? 44% of the folks, almost 30,000 that voted so far, and you can continue to do so.
Yeah.
Say Miami and Florida State. And Bob and Lynn and I and the gang will be there with you next week in Tallahassee for a noon kick. And that should be a dandy. Two undefeateds.
That'd be a good one.
They're not crazy about each other. They're both in the top 5, and they are both 5-0.
Yep.
So 13 unanswered points now by Iowa. They've got the lead, and now Michigan playing from behind for the first time today. With 2:34 remaining in the third quarter. Edwards has been quiet since the first quarter, and Perry about 3. Hodges made the stop. Let's check in with John Saunders in New York. John?
USC and Arizona State. Arizona State had a lead. The Trojans came back to tie it, and then Matt Leinart, just a little toss here to Brandon Hancock, who does just about all the work. 33 yards for the touchdown. Trojans back on top, 24-17.
So Swanee's alma mater trying to fight back after their first setback of the year. Also Steve Bym, our director's alma mater. Don't want to slight those Trojan guys. 2nd down and 7. Navarre fires far side. Did he get his feet down? Nope. Boy, heck of an effort by Breston. He just didn't have enough real estate over there.
They're going 3 wide receivers, and that's the right approach. Navarre is just a little bit off and not connecting. And then when he does get the ball there, they're dropping it.
Look at the difference in numbers from the first half and the third quarter so far. And remember, they've been very timely with their blitzes on Navarre.
They have.
Would they bring one here? 3rd down and 7.
No, they don't.
Navarre's got a man wide open, and it's Breston, and it's a 1st down. Boy, just nobody over there. Antoine Allen, the closest guy, but he was 5 yards away from number 15, and it's a pickup of 15.
Breston's going to be over here. He just comes out into the flat. He looks downfield. The coverage is deep. Picks up the 1st down with the shorter throw.
So Michigan moves it outside its own 37 with a first down throw. Longest completion for Navarre in this quarter. John pump fakes, might want it all. Going deep down the sideline. Incomplete. Edwards went up for it. He came down with 2 Hawkeyes with him. Sanders and Ejiazi. Yeah, good coverage. He almost pulled it down anyway.
He did. Ejiazi does a nice job of staying with him. Edwards ran down and went out. The defensive back doesn't see the ball, but Edwards doesn't come down with good effort.
Edwards and Avant both shut out this half. There's Ejiazi. Remember, he came in when Dawkins got hurt earlier in this quarter. So Braylon Edwards comes out. Lloyd Carr talking to him there, and that sends in Bell as another wide receiver. Navarre's in trouble, and he got rid of it just at the last moment. He took a pop. Neubauer let him have it, and it's 3rd and 10.
The reason he had pressure, take a look. The game, watch these defensive linemen. The lineman on the outside, Neubauer, just going to come right up the middle. Look how this opens up. Look at that. That's trouble for the quarterback right there. You don't want to see that.
And now he's got more trouble. He's calling a timeout.
Whenever you cross those defensive linemen, Brad, it causes protection problems for the offensive linemen who to block.
And they use a timeout here with 1:32 remaining in the 3rd quarter. We'll take a break along with them. Iowa leading Michigan by 3.
Big Ten football is a special tradition.
More than 5.5 million fans pack our stadiums each year, making Big Ten football what it is today.
So respect the game and show good sportsmanship, because the Big Ten sets an example for everyone to follow.
Before, during, and after the game.
Big Ten football. Good sports make great fans.
Tiger Woods had the best round of the week on Friday. Vijay Singh had the best score of the week on Saturday. He shot 64 and moved into contention today. And the 2 players right in the middle of the Player of the Year chase go head-to-head in tomorrow's final round of the American Express Championship at 1:30 Eastern on ABC. Now back to your game.
All right, Mike, we'll see you and Curtis up there in Woodstock when we're all done here.
What'd you say?
Woodstock, Georgia. Isn't that all the things going on?
All right, I thought you said Woodstock.
Well,
oh, yeah. Bob, and act like you don't know what Woodstock is. like you weren't a part of the hippie revolution.
Yeah, can't you see Greasy with long hair?
Oh, yeah.
3rd down and 10.
Woodstock. Do they play golf there?
Yeah.
All right.
Navarre on 3rd and long, fires it. Edwards, did he make the catch?
No.
Nope. He and Breston were both there, and you can see number 15 and number 1 in the same territory.
Swanee, I think the receivers are getting to the open areas, and they continue to run through it instead of hanging in the open areas a little bit.
Well, no coach and no offensive staff designs a play where you get 2 top receivers like that running in each other. When receivers are that close, usually it's at the beginning of a pass pattern when they're trying to brush a defensive back off, not at the end, because one receiver is bringing more defensive back into the throwing area, and that's what happened there.
All right,
Breston paid the price, got popped, and Edwards didn't make the catch, and here comes the thrill of a lifetime again.
The excitement here, the punting team from Michigan.
This is Finley this time. He'll kick it straight away. Acho is going to have a chance from the 16. And down he goes. Nice job by the punt coverage unit of the Wolverines. Time permitting, remind you to stay tuned for the Thrifty Car Rental post-game report. John Terry and Craig will have all the scores and highlights from around the country. So now Iowa not good field position again, which is something they faced in the first quarter of this game. Now here late in the 3rd, they have to start inside their own 20 again at the 18-yard line. 2 tight ends. And Michigan brings up everybody close to try to stop Russell.
Fred broke through the first wall, though, and he got a pretty good run out of it. Out to about the 25, will give him 7. Jackson and Woods made the stop. So Fred Russell, who had to really struggle for every inch he got in the first half, here in the third quarter has put a little bit more together.
He's running this way. Here's Gallery, that big tackle we've been talking about. Blocks that to the outside. It's a little stretch play. All the offensive linemen just get on a block, and the back chooses which hole he wants to take.
Second down 3 for Iowa, with the lead by 3. Russell again. Oh, I don't know how he bounced off that one, but here he goes. Fred Russell in the open field. All the way down to the 42-yard line. How in the world did he recoil from that first shot? 34 yards later.
Because he was small, he spun out. Here he is right here. Just a little spin.
Oh, boy.
His knee may have touched the ground, but just a great job of spinning. Built low to the ground. Good balance.
So maybe got away with one there, but he picked up big yardage. Now it's Chandler over the middle. And incomplete, intended for Davis. And Chandler got deposited when he let go of that one. There's a few licks being put on out here today, folks.
I like the call. It's a great time to have a play-action pass after you've moved across, had a big play, moved across the middle of the field into Michigan territory. Just was good coverage, wasn't there?
Remember the time when I said Russell had about 16 yards on 10 carries? He's got 65 yards this quarter.
Yeah.
So you can't hold him down forever. Although Michigan almost did, and maybe they did. Second down and 10.
All right, you got something going on here. All these defensive guys up there.
Play action, bootleg, the throw down the middle, intercepted. Marlon Jackson.
That's a great play by Jackson. Great play by Marlon Jackson, because the ball was coming close to a receiver, and he just ignored the receiver and just went for it.
He's put on a couple of bone-crunching hits today. Now he's got a turnover. Iowa's first. Michigan's got the ball back. We played 3, 23-20 Iowa. You're watching the BCS Spotlight game presented by ADT. Our presentation of college football will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Michigan just inside its own 33-yard line takes over to start the fourth quarter. 15 minutes left, 3-point ball game. Iowa leading here, entering the fourth. Perry trying to cut back against the grain. We might have a holding call in the middle of the fray, and that would negate a 3-yard run. And Chris is slow to get up as well. It is holding on Michigan. The interception by Jackson's how they got the ball back.
Well, they wanted to get the ball to the tight end coming across. Jackson is right here. Tight end's going to come across. Jackson, number 3, is out of your picture right now. Right now, he sees it. Jackson, he knows who he's throwing it to, but he sees the ball is going to be high, so he doesn't attack the receiver. He waits for the ball. That is just an outstanding play.
He covered a lot of ground in a hurry, didn't he? Marlon's second interception of the season, and the 8th of his career.
There you go.
First down after the penalty on the holding call, 1st and 20. Navarre comes up shooting, and Breston makes the catch. And they got back past the original line of scrimmage in about 3 more as we check in at Times Square Stadium with John.
L. Roberson has led Kansas State all the way back against Texas. Just a little lob here to James Terry, who takes it 45 yards, almost loses the ball, gets behind his back as he gets knocked out at about the 1-yard line. That set up L. Roberson on a keeper and a 2-point conversion as well, 2010, 2017.
Second time today, it kind of looked like the Longhorns defense was walking in mud. Iowa makes the stop on Perry after a 1-yard gain. Babineau's had a good ball game from that defensive tackle spot.
Yes, he has. Norm Parker, the defensive coordinator, has got him just about where he wants him. He's got his best unit on the field, 17th in the nation in total defense, 5th against scoring defense. Michigan on the field, they're 15th in the nation in total offense, so it's best against best.
And a huge 3rd and 5 here early in the 4th. Breston on the end around. He's not going to get there. Got to the 40, and it's punting time again. And you know what that means. Hold on to your hats. Ochoa trying to fire up the crowd. He'll go back in punt return formation. And let's see if they go with the same set. They're gonna.
Oh, this is the strangest thing I've seen. The guys up front have spread out about 3 or 4 yards. And they don't block anybody, the guys up front for Michigan.
Finley gets it away. Ochoa trying to clear everybody out of the way. He's going to let it go out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. So Iowa's got the lead. They will have the ball back when we return. Timeout, 13-13 in the 4th. We'll be back. Robert Gallery going to paint you a picture of how tough this is today.
Rothwell next to him, number 71, just laughing at him.
He's a big one, 320. They expect him to be a top 5 pick in the NFL next year. Here's Fred Russell off the left side. And Fred Russell finally, slowly becoming a Fred Russell game a little bit.
Gradually, maybe wearing him down a little bit. Maybe that offensive line leaning on that front 4. Now you're getting to the second layer, the linebackers, and maybe you can run around the linebackers a lot of this time.
And remember, that left side's number 78, the guy we just showed you, and that just sprung it out for 10 more. And now Fred Russell has 92 yards rushing. The number 2 rusher in the Big Ten, Chris Perry on the other side for Michigan's number 1. Neither cares. They just want to win this game right now. From the 33, Chandler almost stumbled and now in trouble, and he throws for Davis and way over everybody. And Woods got a piece of Chandler as he let go of the ball. Time permitting, stay tuned for the Thrifty Car Rental postgame report. John Terry and Pony will have all the scores and highlights from around the country. Some upsets again today, some thrilling games. And right here we got one that might go right down to the very wire at Kinnick Stadium. Homecoming for Iowa, ranked 19th in the country. 11th ranked Michigan trying to pay the Hawkeyes back for what Iowa did to Michigan on their homecoming last year in Ann Arbor. And it's Iowa leading by 3. Chandler wants to come back the other way. Davis, boy, nice play to stay home by Marcus Curry. He's the guy that broke that thing up. He doesn't get the tackle, but he made the play.
And Massey getting out there to make the tackle. He's a defensive end, saw the play and went away from him and just came back and made the tackle.
Guys, just a little bit of information. You know, regardless of what happens in the game, I'd give Eric Rothwell, number 71, the left guard for the Hawkeyes, a courageous award today. He had the flu last night, came in, had the temperature over 101. He was on an IV. They didn't know whether or not he'd be able to play this game at all. He started this game, played the whole time. Maybe that's why Gallery was a little sick. He gave him the flu.
Could be the whole line by the time the game's over. Here comes a blitz. Chandler throws behind his intended receiver. He made the catch, but it's not a first down. Out to the 40. Had he hit him in stride, who knows, but it doesn't matter now. It's punting time for Iowa.
McClintock made the play. They had a whole bunch of linebackers and DBs coming, rushing Chandler. He had to get rid of the football.
David Bradley to punt. So far today, Steve Breston has not been able to shake loose on a punt return.
Keep your block.
Let's see if he gets a chance at this one. From the 18. Nope, they just bottle him up. Got across the 25, but only about an 8-yard return. Michigan's got it back. They trail Iowa by a field goal. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by the Chrysler Crossfire. Dreamed in America, crafted in Germany. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you. And Aflac, ask about it at work. There's some pins. Got about every team covered, every bowl game you could have. Picture perfect day, Iowa homecoming, clear skies in Iowa City. And a tough 23-20 ball game right now. Navarre, nice play fake. Now he's in trouble. Down he goes. Jared Kloss.
They had play action on first down. He was looking deep down the field. It was a route that took some time to develop. Only 2 guys were out, and the defensive line for the Hawkeyes get there.
13-yard loss. And here comes Santa Claus. And Navarre feels it from behind. Boom. 2nd and 23. Down the middle. And Navarre throws a strike to his tight end, Massaquoi.
How quiet. A completion by the opposition will quiet a crowd. And it can get loud here.
You bet. No first downs the last 4 times they've had it, and now they still got a long ways to go. 3rd down and 9, 10-15. The clock winding down. Iowa leading 23-20. Third and long. Navarre got it to his tight end. Nope, he's out of bounds. Juggling as he went out at the 35. He would have been short of the first down by a yard or 2 anyway. It's punting time.
The Iowa defense is really not doing anything differently than they did early in the ballgame. The Michigan players just aren't executing as well.
Ochoa back there wrapping up his gloves. If Finley gets it to him. That's the question. The returns on this time. Line drive spiral. Ochoa waiting on it at the 27. Broke the first wave. Ochoa flags down. It's going to negate a decent return out to the 45. Going to be an illegal block on Iowa. A 19-yard return will get wiped out. Ramon Ochoa, you see the big smile. He had the big punt return in the first half that helped lead to a touchdown. There's the call. And here comes the play.
Look at the right side of your screen over here.
Got the first bump okay, but you can't do that one.
Just anything, just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot.
I'm wondering where Maywood, California is. Ever heard of it, guys? Maywood, California?
You should know.
You're the California kid.
Oh, yeah. Well,
team. 10 yards from
that's where Shelton Adolphus is from. Excuse me, that's Dallas, Texas. I'm looking at the small print on the flip card. I am over 40, you know.
Just barely.
But here's from Dallas, Texas, the defensive back that called for that push in the back.
At the 21, it's first down. Lloyd Carr looks up at that scoreboard, sees there's 9:39 left and his team's down 3. Michigan might bring it on Chandler. Chandler knowing that.
Yeah.
Trying to change the play.
You got to start getting a little pressure on him now, Michigan.
And Russell goes down for a loss. Woods again. The outside linebacker made the stop, and he trots off after making the hit. And it looks like he tweaked something a little bit. Head straight to the bench to sit down. So it's second down and 11. Ochoa and Davis, the wide receivers. Chandler fires incomplete. Cervantes, his intended receiver. Marcus Curry put the hat on the fullback. Next weekend, we got some dandies for you. College football's best collide on Separation Saturday at noon Eastern. Swanee, Bob, and I will be in Tallahassee for Miami and Florida State, both unbeaten at 5-0. You can also see Texas and Oklahoma, Penn State versus Purdue, or other regional action. Check your local listings for the game in your area. The last time we had a report from John, Texas has had a big lead and then was trailing Kansas State in Austin. And those guys will keep you posted on that on the post-game report, time permitting. Chandler throws down the middle. He's got him in. It's his tight end Jensen. First down. Jensen got open in 23 yards.
Nice job by Jensen of hanging in the open area. Jensen's going to be over here. He's just going to go down and hang in the open area. He doesn't run through an area where he's open. Buys some time, slides around a little bit. And then Jensen, who doesn't have a lot of speed to run out of an open area anyway, hangs in there.
Jensen before this season had 8 career catches. He's got 2 big catches in this ball game. Now it's Russell trying to weave his way across midfield to the Michigan 49. Shazar made the stop. Iowa back in Wolverine territory. The clock winding to 8:15.
You got to be able to run the football at least a little bit at the end of a ball game to kind of lock things up. Iowa couldn't run in the first half. They have run well here in the second half.
The ball shaded on the Michigan side of the 50. 2nd down and 4. Russell cuts back. Somehow got 2 out of nothing. A lot of nice Michigan defensive pursuit. You see Gallery just slap Kashama on the helmet and said, hey man, nice play.
Yeah, and they're getting up tired. The Michigan defenders seem to be getting up a little bit tired.
And Stevens, who's banged up in the first half, as I mentioned to you earlier, and that means Woodley, the freshman, 56, has to come back in for him.
That's all the Wolverines talked about coming into this game, was how last year they were out-toughed by this Iowa football team, and right now in the fourth quarter is where it all shows up. Who's got the conditioning, who's got the stamina.
And right now Fred Russell's got 100. Couldn't have imagined that if we would have talked about it in the first half. And Iowa, with the clock winding down, has to take a timeout with 7:05 remaining. Iowa with the ball, a big 3rd down upcoming when we come back. Every 3rd down becomes vital. Iowa 4 out of 15 in that capacity today. This one could chew a couple more minutes off the clock if they can pick up the 2 they need. They'll give it to the fullback to try to do it, and he might get there after all. He did. Cervantes just said, I'm not going down. They had him bottled up, and he just kept plowing.
Gallery, the big left tackle, was kind of helped pushing and shoving there at the end.
You mean Sampson?
Yeah, look at the hair. I don't think there are any Delilahs out here today, Swanee. There's some hitting going on.
There's a leg. Take a look to the left. That's Cashman. 95 is being blocked on by Gallery. Here's Gallery right there.
First down, Iowa at the Michigan 45. Here comes the blitz. Russell is not going to get by it. Boy, Carl Diggs. Nice form tackle by Diggs again. He's had a heck of a game. One of the guys that said coming into this, he said, you know, Iowa is the bullies of the Big Ten. Now, normally people say that about Michigan.
Yeah.
So he knew, Diggs did, that running into guys like that all day, it was going to be a long day, and it has been for everybody.
Well, you know, Michigan and Iowa and Ohio State, you know, over the years have been the bullies of the Big Ten. But the last 10, 15 years, it's been kind of spread out who's representing the Big Ten in the Rose Bowl.
That's right. McCollum's in motion on a 2nd and 10. Chandler rolling to throw. Finally pulls the trigger, and it's incomplete. And he took a big lick when he got rid of it again by McClintock. As Bob said earlier, Nathan isn't Brad Banks, nor does anybody expect him to be, but when he has to do this, a lot of height to carry to get out there, and then you got to pull the trigger.
Yeah, he just waited too long. Good coverage downfield by Marlon Jackson, the free safety.
He's been knocked around a little bit today.
That takes its toll.
Especially when you're carrying about 259 pounds around with you. At least he weighed that much at game time. Not anymore. At the 44, it's 3rd and 10. 3rd and 9, I beg your pardon. Down the middle. First down again, and it's a tight end again. Eric Jensen. Similar play earlier. He got hit so hard his helmet popped off. Everything's still in order, except he might have cut his nose on that one.
I like the tight ends on 3rd down. Watch on the little crossing route. Good protection. Look at this. Look at this opening you got to throw to. You see your guy now. That's where you want to throw it, right in there. Well, that can't be any better.
Perfect. And then laying a lick on Curry at the end of it. Watch Curry going the other way. That hurts. First down, Iowa with the lead, and the ball now at the 31 of Michigan.
Michigan's got to make something happen.
Oh, Chandler had to call another timeout, and that is it for timeouts for Iowa, and that could be very costly. With 5:24 left, Iowa leads here. Let's check out what's going on elsewhere. Here's John.
Well, Brad, we showed you what Kansas State did to come back in the game, and now Texas goes to the offense. Vincent Young, 52 yards to Tony Jeffrey, who goes up, grabs it, hauls it in. They get a few chances, and this is 4th and goal. Mac Brown goes for it and gets the touchdown. Texas regains the lead, 24-20.
So in the Big 12, it's close. In the Big 10, it's close. Almost the same scores they have in Austin, we have here in Iowa City, 23-20, with 5:24 remaining. Obviously, the coaching staff of Michigan concerned right now because Iowa's got the ball and they've got a first down.
Jim Herman, the defensive coordinator closest to us, and he knows that you don't want to get him to score. Ideally, you want to stop him and get a turnover, shake it loose somehow, some way. Michigan, coming into the game, only had 7 takeaways in 5 games, and that's not a lot of takeaways.
Both teams with 1 loss. While Iowa's happened in the Big 10 to Michigan State, Michigan's happened in the Pac-10 on the road at Autzen Stadium to Oregon a couple of weeks ago. And now when you drop a second game,
it's going to be a tough conference this year.
Somebody's going to lose this one, but they've still got a lot of football left. First down. Play action. Chandler is going to go to the corner to the end zone to Ochoa. He's got it. Touchdown.
He didn't have it long. They're talking about it over there.
We'll just wait. Might have to re-cue the band. Touchdown. The man they call Razor, Ramon Ochoa, has put Iowa up by 9.
Let's take a look at the end of the play, the catch.
Oh, brother. Kading to try to give Iowa a 10-point lead.
Really couldn't tell from that look for sure.
Extra point's good.
Ochoa is playing and playing a lot because of the injury to the top 2 receivers. Let's take another look.
Great over-the-shoulder catch. Now Jackson, by that time, I think he's in, but again, the ball is on the other side.
Well, the official is right there looking at it. Take a look at this one. He's got it.
It comes out, but had he already crossed, it looked as though it already crossed the goal line.
He's across the goal line.
He's across, and he has control. The official, you see, he's stripped after he's in the end zone, and the official signals touchdown.
He's right there.
Unless somebody else saw something that was overwhelmingly in contradiction to what that official signaled, it's going to be a touchdown.
And while they do have experimental use of replay in the Big Ten this year, just as a tool to see if they want to use it sometime in the future, it has nothing to do with our game here today, other than we get to show you as many looks as we can possibly show you.
Right.
It's touchdown Iowa, and it's 30-20, and it's 20 unanswered Hawkeye points. And now, guys like Breaston are going to have to make plays because time's running out on the Wolverines. 5:16 to go. Kading to Breaston, 2 yards deep. Oh, and he's collared again. on the kick return. Marcus Pascal. And this is a fired up bunch of birds right now.
Well, they weren't that fired up at the beginning of the game when they were down 14-0.
They have been glued to Breaston all day, and Pascal collars him inside the 15-yard line.
Good special teams play. Coverage, covering punts and kickoffs, kicking the ball, and also getting rid of the ball and covering your kicks.
Michigan starting to need some magic, and they need it in a hurry. Navarre down from behind by Roth again. Another sack for number 31. He had 10 last year, and he didn't even start most of the games.
He just never gives up. Here's Roth over here. They're going to do another little game.
Back to the live action with no huddle. Navarre throws complete. Calvin Bell run out at about the 21-yard line. All three of Iowa's sacks have come in this half. Navarre, who had an unbelievable first half. I don't know if it's Iowa's defensive adjustments or not, but it certainly has been John Navarre's second half.
I think Iowa's playing better. They're doing basically the same thing. Michigan in the second half has had the ball 7 times, has punted it 6 times. 5 of those have been 3 and out.
Michigan has 2 timeouts remaining. Right now, Iowa doesn't need theirs. They have a 10-point lead. They've got to have this third down. The Wolverines 3rd and 3. Navarre steps up, fires, got it to Avant, who's had a huge day, and he's out to the 43-yard line.
That quiets the crowd.
Boy, does it ever. You can hear a pin drop all of a sudden. You go from 71,000 screaming their lungs out, all of a sudden sounding like you're in church on Sunday morning. Avant's got 5 catches for 163 yards. Perry inside on a quick draw, and he got it to midfield.
Michigan has the ability to go down and score and come back in this ball game. They have the offensive line to protect. They have the wide receivers that can make big plays. They have the quarterback with the experience and a strong arm that can get the ball out.
And they haven't used Braylon Edwards in this half like they did in the first quarter. It's been Avant instead, and this time he dropped it. He was waiting on it, and he dropped it. And another third down coming up.
Navarre has been hot and cold. He's been off. Sometimes when he needs it, he doesn't get the ball there. That ball should have been stuck. It's just a stop route. The ball was low. Now it's 3rd and 4, and you got some pressure on you.
41 throws, 312, 1 and 1. 3rd and 4 here. They picked up the last one. 4 wide outs, and Edwards finally trots all the way over on the right side. Navarre has time, crossing pattern, and he got it, and it's a first down throw, and it's Jason Avant again. What a game this kid's having. Sophomore out of Chicago having the game of his life, but will it be enough? His team is down 10.
Tell you what, the Wolverines have a group of wide receivers, probably the best I've seen in college football this year.
They got 4 of them getting ready to get in the pattern for Navarre again on first down. Navarre going deep. Scott Braylon Edwards, touchdown! They hadn't used him the whole half. When they needed him, he lived up to his jersey. 41 yards, touchdown, Michigan.
Just what I said. You've got the ability, you've got the offensive line, and this strong arm by Navarre just gets it done.
And again, you could hear a pin drop, and Kinnick. Soon to be a field goal difference again if the extra point is good by Rivas. With 3:43 left, big extra point, and it's right down the middle. Whew. Good game. 3:43 remaining in the fourth quarter. It's Iowa 30, Michigan 27. What a heck of a game. Michigan's just scored, capping an 86-yard march in a hurry. Only took them a minute and a half. Got the touchdown pass, and they're back to within 3, courtesy of John Navarre's career-high 363 yards throwing now. Brad Nessler, Bob Greasy, Lynn Swann, and a lot of anxious fans at Kinnick Stadium along with you. Don't go anywhere. 3:43 left. Nineberg to kick. Davis and Ochoa wait on the other end. High and short again. It's going to be Ochoa. He's got a beat on it at the 13. And number 13 fights his way out almost to the 30-yard line. Time for our Chrysler passing playbook. Robert?
I like this play, the last play, because it shows us a lot of different things. First of all, it shows us the offensive line pass blocking. Take a look at the line pass blocking. Line sits up, gives you some time to throw. The second thing it's going to show you is a quarterback with mobility. Shows you mobility. The third thing it says, stepping up in the pocket and arm strength. Throws it the length of the field all the way down. And the fourth thing it shows you is a receiver catching the ball in his hands who has some speed to get open.
Perfectly done. From the 29, Russell. Fred Russell. Boy, closed the door in a hurry. Marlon Jackson. I tell you, between Marlon Jackson and Bob Sanders today, one for each side. These two safeties, they'll dislocate any part of their body they can get on you.
Jackson playing free safety this year for the first time. Played corner last year, made all Big Ten.
Timeout taken here by Michigan. So they're down to a single timeout. We're down to just under 3.5 to go in Iowa City. Nathan Chandler, the big Iowa quarterback, has got his hands full right now because he's trying to nurse a 3-point lead. We welcome those of you that have been watching the Longhorns win a thriller at home. We got a thriller brewing in Iowa City. Brad Nessler, Bob Greasy, Lynn Swann at Kinnick Stadium, where Iowa leads, and they're trying to hold on to a 3-point lead. And they've got a third down upcoming here momentarily. Fred Russell, who really had to struggle the first 10 carries, he had only 16 yards. Now he's over the century mark as he's had a big second half. Michigan has taken their final timeout, and they trail 30-27. John Navarre's had a career day, 363 yards passing. Braylon Edwards has caught a couple of those. Our Pacific Life game summary will show that. 2 touchdowns for Navarre. Nathan Chandler has thrown a couple as well.
Michigan jumped out 14-0 on the first 2 drives.
And then 20 unanswered points by Iowa put them in front. And then moments ago, it was Navarre to Braylon Edwards, a 41-yard touchdown. That's where we sit, 30-27. Neither team has a timeout left. There's 3:23 left in regulation, that is. A Big Ten battle where they both need it because neither wants a second loss overall. Michigan's loss was to Oregon in non-conference play. Iowa lost to Michigan State last week. They have played much, much better here today at home, and it is homecoming, the 51st meeting between the Wolverines and the Hawkeyes.
And Brad, I like the way Iowa's done it with the big men at quarterback, the big lineman, number 78, and 2 of the smallest guys on the football team in Ochoa and Russell, filling in the space between, having big ball games and keeping him on top.
Boy, isn't that the truth. We talk about size, and physicality, and Fred Russell just checked out, but he's had a huge game, and Ochoa is not the speediest receiver in the world, but he's had a big one. This is a 3rd and 2 Iowa needs. That's Ochoa in motion. Chandler wants to throw back, and now he's in trouble, and it took too long to develop. Drop for a loss by Woods.
And they had good coverage. Ernest Shazer was covering the tight end who was going opposite. That was shades of Hayden Fry, a little gimmick play. Quarterback rolls right, tried to throw back left, but the guy was covered.
And now it's a punting time for Bradley. And remember, that guy, Breston, has not been able to shake loose yet today. Bradley's kick is a beauty. Breston from the 12. Breston across the 20. And out to the 27-yard line, a 15-yard return on a 52-yard kick, and a few shoves at the end of the play. Michigan's out of timeouts, but they've got 2:44 to work with, and they've got those wide receivers that Bob and Lynn and I have been talking about all day. So the stage is set right here.
Brad, look at this one. He's going to roll out on that last play, but here's the tight end, and Shazer, he wants to get him going across the field, but watch what the strong safety does. He hits right into him. Now he's holding him a little bit. Then he let him go.
Oh, yeah. So the ball game comes down to 2 minutes and change. Navarre from the shotgun. Throws wide open. Got his man, Carl Tabb. And Tabb's got a first down at the 42. Tabb's first catch. Picks up 15, and they move the chains. Clock stops momentarily. Plenty of time to work with for Michigan's offense.
No timeouts, like you said, but in college football, it's different because the clock does stop until they mark it ready for play.
First down from the 42. He goes the other way this time to Edwards, and Edwards tiptoes out right at midfield. Michigan needs a field goal to tie, obviously, and a touchdown to win. And keep in mind, they've got a freshman kicker, but he has had a good game today, including his career long that came earlier in the ball game of 47 yards.
The 47-yarder hit the goalpost and bounced in.
Now a school record for Navarre, not just his own mark. From midfield, Perry, Chris Perry, down the sideline. Perry's free. Knocked out of bounds, but there's a flag down back at the 41-yard line. Considine pushed him out. It's all coming back, I think, as you see Chris's disgust after his biggest play of the day is going to be negated by a flag. Steve Newman will come out of that conference and tell us it's offside.
Offside on the defense. Holding on the offense. Penalty is offset. Replay the down.
And do it all again. And you see Chris knowing that he's got to reload now after the play that might have helped to win it or tie it.
But you always say, the defenses say, well, if he hadn't been holding, we would have made the tackle at the line of scrimmage.
2:21 left. Second down and 2 right at midfield. Navarre from the shotgun. Try the same thing. See if it's the same result. Nope. Perry dropped. Roth's the guy that actually made the stop on him, even though he fell forward. But number 31, the junior out of Villa Park, Illinois, is a player.
Basically, Michigan's got to get to about the 30-yard line to attempt the 47-yard field goal.
This is what helps when you got a big quarterback. Quarterback sneak by Navarre, and he picks up the first down.
He kicked a 47-yarder earlier, but it was into a little wind. Now he's got the wind is kind of laid down now. There's not much wind blowing. But if gets down to the 30-yard line, that'll be a 47-yard field goal.
Right now they're at the 47 with a first down. Navarre wanted to go deep, now comes back across the middle, and Avant makes a circus catch again, even though it didn't get much, but he held on to it in front of Miguel Merrick. Second down, and it's going to be about 7. Clock winding. It'll be under a minute and a half when they snap it here.
You don't want to give them 6 points. They can throw it deep very easily.
Navarre deep out. Braylon Edwards, Tabb, he overshot. Chris Smith fell down back there. He might have had a chance for an interception. This looked like Chris slipped on his own.
Guys, just because we've been talking about the Michigan wide receivers so much this afternoon, you got to give a lot of credit to their success to their receiver coach and assistant head coach, Eric Campbell. You talk about where these receivers come from all over the country. The assistant coaches recruit areas, but in the final recruit, the position coach takes over, and that man right there has done a tremendous job for Michigan over the last 6 or 7 years.
Let's see if his students come up with a play. 3rd and 7, Michigan. Trailing by a field goal. Navarre steps up, fires far side over Braylon Edwards. He couldn't handle it. And it's 4th down.
He threw that ball before he even looked where he was throwing it. He scoots up in the pocket, and he just throws it.
And again, 2 Michigan receivers virtually in the same spot on the field.
Michigan was in good shape. They were moving down the field very nicely, and then all of a sudden a couple errant throws, and you got to make a play right here.
70% on 4th down. They need a 4th and 7, or Iowa's going to beat Michigan for the 2nd year in a row. Here's the ball game for the Wolverines. Deafening crowd at Kinnick.
Didn't get it off.
Now they'll really get loud.
It's a delay of game against Michigan. That's just confusion. Which play we want to run and getting the right players in to run that play.
To get a 1st down, Michigan needs to get to the 37. To keep the game alive, they need 12 on 4th down. Navarre steps up, pumps, now fires. It's almost intercepted, and it's incomplete. And it looks like the Hawkeyes' homecoming is going to be a party.
Navarre threw it to the outside. The receiver broke to the inside. And there is a party going.
The littlest guy is doing the bunny hop. Chandler can take a knee. Michigan can't stop it. For the 2nd straight year, Iowa's going to pull an upset. Even though they're at home, last year it was lopsided and it was in Ann Arbor. This year, I don't know, it might even be sweeter. Last night, Hayden Fry was the grand marshal of the parade, and I got to think the wily old coach is loving this one.
Especially with Bo Schembechler being here, his old buddy.
And of course, on the other side, those pictures of the Wolverines tell the tale. Boy, what a game. What a game.
Got to hand it to Iowa being down at the start. Iowa is 19-2. Their last 22 games here. 19-2 in the last 21 games.
A homecoming to remember in Iowa City. It's over. Iowa beats Michigan 2 years in a row. The final is 30-27. Our Chevrolet players of the game in this one, and there were a lot of candidates. Eric Jensen, the tight end, made 3 of the biggest catches of his life for Iowa. Jason Avant had a career game for Michigan. It wasn't enough. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. A dejected Michigan team who fought and battled to the very end, but they have lost for the 2nd time already on the season, a season they hoped maybe would bring a national championship shot. That one just went by the boards today. For Iowa, they go to 5-1. They'll move up in the polls. And the BCS may be winking at them again. Who knows?
A long way to go in that BCS thing.
A long way to go. So the 51st meeting between Michigan and Iowa was a classic. Let's head down to Lynn.
Our kid's got some balls. Coach, I got to tell you, phenomenal football game. A lot of actions. Where do you hang this victory in the ballgame? Offense, special teams, defense?
It was a team effort, Lynn. That's the only chance we had today. We come in short-handed. We're not the best team in the world, but I tell you, our kids have a lot of heart and they play hard.
You have to schedule Michigan and homecoming every year.
I doubt that's going to happen if I got something to do with them.
Okay, Coach.
Thank you, Lynn.
Kirk Ferentz, whose son Brian's a starting center. I bet they have a happy family meal tomorrow at the Ferentz house. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Search ABC Sports. Be sure to join us tomorrow, 1:30 Eastern. Tiger Woods and a field of the PGA Tour's best compete at the World Golf Championship, American Express Championship. Monday, 9 o'clock Eastern. Don't forget, an undefeated Indianapolis Colts team goes to Tampa to take on the defending champions, the Buccaneers. Once again, our final score in a thriller from Iowa. Iowa 30, Michigan 27. Don't forget, Miami and Florida State. That's where we'll be next week. Hope you join us for that one. Once again, 30-27. For Bob Gracie, Lynn Swann, Brad Nessler. So long from Iowa City. This is a presentation of ABC Sports Championship Television.